Chapter 1042. After that, under the deliberate embellishment of the 3,000 peach blossoms, numerous Nirvana Realm's younger generation now all knew about the viciousness of the dark forces. They also knew about the battle between the dark forces and Nirvana Realm. Which cultivator would allow their territories to be occupied by others, if they were willing to be occupied? Now Nirvana Realm would not be divided into four. Yiqing Luo had grasped these people's mentality, so she specially took the opportunity of that battle to spread the news. During the interclass competition, you'd better be careful. The dark force's final target is you. Dmo Xian's hand finally stopped teasing her. If he continued to tease her, in the end, the one who would feel uncomfortable would be himself. He gently caressed Yiqing Luo's hair as his voice was gentle. Lil Luo, leave the dark forces matters to me and the Imperial Palace to settle. You just need to protect yourself, understand? But the dark forces were not something that she could avoid even if she wanted to. Right from the start, the dark forces' target was her. Even if she didn't initiate contact with the dark forces, the dark forces would definitely revolve around her. I will be by your side. Dmo Xian's lips curled up as his fingertips gently rubbed her eyes. You should be tired after the Heavenly Pagoda assessment. Have a good rest. Yiqing Luo was just about to reply, but the drowsiness made it hard for her to resist. Her long eyelashes fluttered as she fell into a deep sleep. Dmo Xian gazed deeply at the sleeping person in his arms as his dense long lashes drooped slightly. He slowly retracted his hand, which was used as a pillow, as he quietly left the bed. His gaze congealed outside the window. Wind, what's the matter? Yes. If it wasn't for the fact that he sensed Wind was outside the window, looking for him urgently, how could Dmo Xian possibly stop being intimate with Yiqing Luo because of the dark forces? Wind had always been sensible. If it wasn't an urgent matter, he would definitely not do so. As expected, Dmo Xian's words had just ended when a black shadow flashed past. A black-robed young man with a sword by his waist knelt in front of Dmo Xian. Overlord, the Imperial Palace has an express secret letter to report. Dmo Xian nodded slightly. He glanced at the person who was sleeping soundly on the bed. His deep eyes darkened as he said indifferently, take good care of her. Wind cupped his fists, understood. By the time Yiqing Luo woke up, it was already the next morning. Outside the dormitory, there were several female students conversing loudly. Lu Xiaoyu's anger and Mo Yuying's emotionless voice could be heard. Trash class is trash, Yudon is trash, and you don't have the ability. A trashy class will always be a trashy class. You don't even have the ability to participate in the interclass competition. This voice was rather familiar. Immediately after, another voice could be heard. Mo Yuying, look at your cowardly look. I can easily push you down with one finger. Perhaps that person really went to push Mo Yuying. Then, Lu Xiaoyu's delicate voice rang out, let's see who dares to move. Just a few days ago he was still fawning over Qing Luo, and today he wanted to bully Qing Luo's classmate. If you dare to make a move, I will go to the faculty council and complain. Go ahead. The vice president is here. If you have the ability, go ahead. That female student snorted, full of disdain. Chapter 1043. Enough. Lu Shuaiyu's voice was icy cold, making a ruckus in the dormitory. What a scandal. Those few female students humphed softly and kept their mouths shut. Yiqing Luo finally understood. These few people, weren't they those students who came to the dormitory during the holidays to please her? So quickly, they were bought over by Lu Shuaiyu again. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. She wondered what was the meaning of these rich young ladies forming cliques all day long. As if they were able to hug someone's thigh, they would be able to bully others. Yiqing Luo only heard a few sentences and roughly guessed the situation outside. Probably because of the Heavenly Pagoda's ability assessment. As a high profound class student, Lu Shuayu naturally felt embarrassed. These female students, once again hugged Lu Shuayu's thigh, naturally wanted to stand up for their eldest sister. So they came to Yiqing Luo's dormitory and found Mo Yuing, who stayed in the same dormitory as Yiqing Luo, who was also a devil class student, to vent their anger. When Lu Xiaoyu saw this, she would definitely be infuriated and lend a helping hand. Which resulted in the current situation. In the dormitory hall, Lu Shuayu sat elegantly on the wooden chair, her fingers hooked around the teacup as she took a sip. Student Lu Xiaoyu, please remember that this is the dormitory, this is the academy, not a place for a spoiled child like you to throw a tantrum. You! Lu Xiaoyu's face flushed red as she pointed at Lu Shuayu furiously. That's right, so what if I'm spoiled by my parents? At least I live honestly, I know what friendship is, and how to protect my friends. Speaking of this, Lu Xiaoyu's lips curled upwards, revealing a sneer of ridicule. Right, we share the same surname Lu, but our statuses are different. You're the noble eldest Miss Lu, I'm just an ordinary, well-off Lu family's youngest daughter, but at least I have my father, my mother dotes on me, loves you. You, other than that pitiful arrogance, what else do you have? Lu Xiaoyu's words were powerful and resonant. The expression on her face was filled with righteousness. Lu Shuayu's face turned green and white. Seeing the change in Lu Shuayu's expression, the female students behind her immediately stepped forward and pushed Lu Xiaoyu. How dare you insult the vice president? This young lady will teach you a lesson on behalf of the vice president. With that, she raised her hand and slapped Lu Xiaoyu's face. However, this slap did not have the time to land. However, a small pink figure rushed over. His small head happened to bump into the female student's abdomen. The female student felt an excruciating pain as if her internal organs had been shattered. She collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Mo Yuing. The other 4 female students stared at Mo Yuing in disbelief. This trash dared to use his head to talk back to them. A female student's expression instantly turned ferocious. She had long disliked Mo Yuying's small stature. She looked small and delicate, like an 11 or 12-year-old little girl, but she purposely put on a stupid expression. She had seduced quite a few students in the academy and they were all interested in Mo Yuing. This Mo Yuing, who had always been bullied, never retaliated when hit, never retaliated when scolded. She dared to use her head to hurt their people. Mo Yuing, how dare you hit a student in front of the vice president? Chapter 1044. 4 female students surrounded Mo Yuing with a sinister expression. Their faces were filled with disdain as though they were trying to strangle an ant. How dare you? I'm going to tell the director. Lu Xiaoyu frantically pulled Mo Yuing over and stood in front of her. She couldn't beat these few female students, but she absolutely could not let Mo Yuing get hurt. Mo Yuing was Yiqing Luo's classmate and had saved her earlier. She had to protect Mo Yuing. Beat the both of them together. A female student shouted and got the support of the other 3 female students. All of them started to attack Lu Xiaoyu's back mercilessly. Ah! A shrill scream was heard. Then, a petite figure flew out into the sky. It crashed into Lu Shuayu's room door and gave out a heavy crash. Immediately it rolled onto the ground and spat out a big mouthful of blood. The direction it rolled towards was coincidentally Lu Shuayu's direction. This mouthful of blood, coincidentally sprayed onto Lu Shuayu's skirt, splattering a patch of bright red. High profound class and intermediate profound class students can't afford to lose. A clear and melodious laughter was heard, like pearls falling onto a plate. Yiqing Luo's room door was opened and Yiqing Luo was dressed in a simple and loose green uniform as she leaned against the door lazily. Her slender fingers were playing with a strand of hair on her shoulder. Her stunning face was filled with ridicule. "I'm so sorry, devil class is so lucky, just happened to have 10 people. And snatched your first place. Qing Luo." Lu Xiaoyu's face was filled with joy as she immediately pulled Mo Yuing and dashed towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. As long as Yi Qing Luo appeared. Even if Lu Xiaoyu personally made a move, she would not be able to gain any advantage. After dashing to Yi Qing Luo's side, Lu Xiaoyu then made a face at Lu Xiaoyu's direction. Lu Xiaoyu narrowed her cold eyes and glanced at the blood stains on her skirt. She raised her leg without hesitation and kicked the female student who was beside her leg away. She immediately stood up and looked at Yi Qing Luo coldly. "Can't afford to lose." Yi Qing Luo raised her brows. Could it be that the vice president can afford to lose? Yi Qing Luo gave a light laugh as she crossed her arms over her chest and walked towards her languidly. "I'm so sorry, devil class got the first place in the ability assessment, so it's like the boat rises with the tide and you're so complacent." "Why, you're not convinced?" Lu Xiaoyu's face darkened. He opened his mouth and was about to speak when he was interrupted by Yi Qing Luo. "Even if the devil class doesn't have any abilities, they are still number 1 in the ability assessment. Even if they don't have the right to participate in the interclass competition, they still have the right to be number 1 in the ability assessment and participate in the interclass competition." "Why, you're not convinced?" "My devil class, just because we got the first place, we use our connections to bully others. What about it? You're not convinced?" Lu Xiaoyu was rendered speechless by the 3 consecutive "I'm not convinced." Following that, Yi Qing Luo's slender brows rose as her eyes remained calm. "If you're not convinced, then hold it in." "Yi Qing Luo. You're going too far." The female student who was standing beside Lu Xiaoyu stared at Yi Qing Luo in fear. As soon as he said those words, he shrank back as if he had seen a ghost. Yi Qing Luo didn't bother about that female student at all. Her charming eyes gazed at Lu Xiaoyu without blinking, waiting for her response. Lu Xiaoyu narrowed her cold eyes as her aloof expression turned frosty. After some time, she shifted her gaze away and left the dormitory without even turning back. In the dormitory hall, 3 female students laid on the ground and had been forgotten. Lu Xiaoyu didn't have the time to bother about them. Chapter 1045. Once Qing Luo appears, who dares to challenge her? Lu Xiaoyu smiled mischievously and stretched out her hand to hold Yi Qing Luo's arm. "Let's see how arrogant those people are going to be." Yi Qing Luo poked her forehead. "The most arrogant one is you." Lu Xiaoyu stuck out her tongue and rubbed her little face on Yi Qing Luo's shoulder. "I'm not arrogant, this is called bravery, in order to protect the person I want to protect, incomparably brave." Yi Qing Luo was amused. Mo Yuing, who was standing behind them, stared at the 2 people who were laughing. His empty eyes blinked, as if he didn't understand why they were smiling so happily. After being frozen for some time, when Yi Qing Luo's smiling gaze met hers, Mo Yuing made a. It was an action that shocked everyone present. She held on to Yi Qing Luo's arm expressionlessly, learning from Lu Xiaoyu's action, leaning her head on Yi Qing Luo's body. His little face rubbed against Yi Qing Luo's arm. After rubbing for some time, she took another look at the dazed Lu Xiaoyu and saw that her head was placed on Yi Qing Luo's shoulder. Mo Yuing stretched out both her hands towards Yi Qing Luo as she jumped around with all her might, trying to reach Yi Qing Luo's shoulders. Yi Qing Luo burst into laughter as she slowly squatted down and wrapped her arms around Mo Yuying's petite body. "Shadow, come, let sister hug you." Mo Yuying's paralyzed face stared at Yi Qing Luo for some time. His gaze immediately fell onto Yi Qing Luo's shoulder. Stretching out her arm, she looped it around Yi Qing Luo's neck and placed her face on Yi Qing Luo's shoulder. Yueying also knows how to act coquettishly. Lu Xiaoyu seemed to have discovered a new continent as her eyes were filled with amazement. I thought that Ewing would only be like a wooden person, not easy to get along with. I didn't expect that. Ewing is so cute. Mo Ewing ignored her screams, only quietly burying it on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. His face was still expressionless, but his pair of lifeless eyes was gradually covered with a faint expression. Yiqing Luo was really warm. It made her feel human warmth. Devil class. After passing the strength test yesterday, the souls of the students had been impacted. One by one, they dispersed. As for Qiao Jin and Long Yunjian, one went to the class committee room, and the other went to the spiritual qi treasured land. Both of them were unable to calm down. He didn't show his face for an entire day. In the class committee room, Qiao Jin placed his feet on the wooden table and slumped into his chair. A pair of dark and gloomy eyes looked ahead without any focus. No one knew what he was thinking. Her long eyelashes couldn't hide the green at the corner of her eyes. It seemed like he hadn't slept all night. Indeed, he had not slept the entire night. As long as he closed his eyes, the image of a smiling face would appear in front of him. That smile was affectionate and sweet. Word by word, she called him gently, "Ah Jin." It was Yan Shaoyi. His mind was filled with Yan Shaoyi's smiling face. The Yan Shaoyi in the illusion, the Yan Shaoyi who had deep feelings for him, it was like a scene that kept replaying in his mind. Ever since he returned to Devil class, Qiao Jin had been sitting here, recalling everything that had happened in the dreamland. In his illusion, the first two were very normal. But in the infatuation of the third stage, he saw Yan Shaoyi. In the illusion, they were husband and wife. In the illusion, she gave him an enchanting smile, bewitching all living beings. In the illusion, they almost became one. He almost got corroded by the illusion and wanted to stay in the illusion, to spend the rest of his life with Yan Shaoyi. The illusion of infatuation, why was it Yan Shaoyi? Could it be that he towards Yan Shaoyi? Chapter 1046. Her voice stopped abruptly when she saw the people in the class committee room. She turned around and walked away as though she didn't see Qiao Jin. This voice startled Qiao Jin. He looked up only to see her turn and leave. His brows furrowed, his body instinctively moving forward to grab her wrist. Yan Shaoyi. Stop right there. Let go. Yan Shaoyi pursed her red lips and flung his hand away. She didn't turn around to look at him. Qiao Jin held onto her shoulders forcefully and straightened her. Running when you see me. Are you so afraid of me? Yan Shaoyi's face was sullen. She bit her red lips and was obviously angered by his words. I'm afraid of you. Qiao Jin, don't you have any shame? Let go of me. Qiao Jin's jade-like eyes narrowed. There was an unfathomable depth in his eyes. He stared at the imprisoned Yan Shaoyi, looking at her pretty face which was flushed with a faint blush due to sullen anger. Something soft seemed to have hit a certain spot in his heart. The empty spot in his heart seemed to have been filled up by something. This was the feeling he wanted. In the illusion, he was able to recognize the illusion, and it was also because this feeling was missing between him and Yan Shaoyi. Qiao Jin. What do you want? You don't want to see me. So let's go our separate ways and not disturb each other. What else do you want? Yan Shaoyi narrowed her eyes. She couldn't control the feelings that overflowed from the bottom of her heart when she touched him. She wanted to struggle, but Qiao Jin held her hands down after hearing her words. The door of the class committee room was slammed shut with a bang. Yan Shaoyi's back was pressed against the wooden door. Qiao Jin held her arms high up and pressed her against the wall with one hand. Women were naturally weaker than men in terms of strength. Not to mention a man who was stronger than her. Yan Shaoyi couldn't struggle at all. Instead, she was easily restrained by Qiao Jin. I don't want to see you. Qiao Jin narrowed his eyes and stared fixedly at the blushing young lady. He didn't know why, but a raging fire surged in his chest. He didn't want to hear any words like, I don't want to see him, or go our separate ways, from Yan Xiaoyi's mouth. That rage burned Qiao Jin's rationality. At this moment, Qiao Jin didn't even know what he was doing. He only followed his own heart, the other hand, tightly wrapped around Yan Xiaoyi's waist. His slender fingers pinched her waist fiercely. Qiao Jin purposely moved closer to Yan Xiaoyi's ear when he said, N. She gently exhaled a warm breath. Yan Xiaoyi's whole body trembled, her face blushing. She was embarrassed, but more so, she was angered by him. And me, I also don't want to see. Oh. A kiss, strong and domineering. It landed heavily on Yan Xiaoyi's red lips. Compared to the forceful kiss last time without any technique. This time, Qiao Jin clearly grasped the trick. After kissing her red lips, he began to nibble on them, teasing her. He didn't give Yan Xiaoyi any chance to defend herself. A strong masculine scent filled her nostrils. Yan Xiaoyi didn't have the strength to resist at all. Her entire body went limp in Qiao Jin's arms. She could barely breathe. This bastard, what did he want? Why did he suddenly kiss her? Xiaoyi. He stopped kissing her lips. His silver-haired lips slowly moved to her ears. His soft call was low and sexy. Yan Xiaoyi's delicate body instinctively trembled. Because of his deliberate exhalation, tiny goosebumps appeared on his pink skin. Chapter 1047. Your body's reaction tells me that your heart and your mouth are not the same. Qiao Jin's head rested on her shoulder. As he breathed in Yan Xiaoyi's cold fragrance, the feeling of his heart being filled grew stronger. He couldn't help but pull the corners of his lips, revealing a smile that even he himself didn't notice. You! Yan Xiaoyi's cheeks instantly turned red. Before he could react, she struggled to free her hands, raised her palms and threw a slap towards his face. Utterly shameless. As though he had guessed her next move. Coincidentally, Qiao Jin caught her slap and pressed it against the wooden door again. This is the first day you met me, and now you know that I'm shameless. You! Yan Xiaoyi was furious. Qiao Jin pursed his thin lips and stared at her slightly red cheeks. After a long while, he retracted his hands. He only gently wrapped his arms around her waist, his head still buried in her neck. Xiaoyi, don't say anything that will make me angry. Yan Xiaoyi's body stiffened. She couldn't get used to Qiao Jin's inexplicable gentleness and intimacy. It seemed, ever since Tao Tao had appeared, they could no longer get along like they used to. Especially after he forcefully kissed her and took away her first kiss, the atmosphere between them became increasingly strange. They shouldn't be like this. They were partners who cooperated with each other, brothers who supported each other. If they were tainted with feelings between them, it wouldn't be that pure anymore. Feelings, she really didn't want to be tainted, didn't want to touch them. Especially when the other party was Qiao Jin. The person he liked wasn't her. Yan Xiaoyi had her own pride and dignity. If Qiao Jin didn't love her, she wouldn't take the initiative to express her feelings. She wouldn't give Qiao Jin any chance to hurt her. Wouldn't wait for her to confess her true feelings, and then watch him be with another woman. And leave her alone to feel sad. Yan Xiaoyi's expression gradually turned cold. Her delicate face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. She looked at the man on top of her, her voice cold. Qiao Jin, if you don't want me to make you angry, then let me go. I didn't come here to look for you. If Tong Ziqing hadn't told her that Long Yunxian was waiting for her in the class committee room, saying that he had something to discuss with her regarding the ability test. It was impossible for her to come here. He did not expect to enter the class committee room. There was only Qiao Jin here, Long Yunzhan wasn't here at all. She realized that she had been fooled by Tong Ziqing. She wanted to leave, but Qiao Jin didn't let her. He was clearly the one who had been avoiding her. "You're not looking for me. Looking for the class leader." Qiao Jin sneered, and the hand that was wrapped around her waist suddenly tightened. "So, seeing that the class monitor isn't here, you're disappointed?" He clearly knew that the relationship between Yan Xiaoyi and Long Yunzhan was that of companions and brothers. However, the words slipped out of his mouth on their own. He couldn't stop her. He could only use his jade-like eyes to stare deeply at her expression. He wanted to see through her eyes and see what she was thinking. As expected, Yan Xiaoyi's expression was sullen. The petite body nestled in his arms was also trembling with anger. "Qiao Jin. Get lost." Yan Xiaoyi bellowed. How could he insult her like this? It doesn't matter if you don't like her. Why did he use such words to belittle her feelings? In his eyes, were her feelings that cheap? As long as it was a man, she could accept it. He couldn't be clearer about the relationship between her and the class monitor, wasn't he? Yan Xiaoyi only felt that she was in an ice house, so cold that it was bone-chilling. It wasn't just the coldness of her body. Chapter 1048. After a long while, Yan Xiaoyi's long eyelashes fluttered. She looked up with a calm gaze and said emotionlessly, "Yes, I'm very disappointed that I didn't see the class monitor." After a pause, her lips curled and a self-mocking sneer flashed across her eyes. "Especially, seeing you here, I'm even more disappointed." That feeling of coldness was accompanied by pain. Bone-chilling cold and bone-chilling pain. Her remaining pride was trampled on by him. "Yan Xiaoyi. This mouth of yours really makes people want to ruthlessly seal it." Qiao Jin's eyes darkened and his dark eyes were filled with anger. His body pressed down, and his long, slender legs forced their way between her legs. His fingers clasped the back of her head, and he fiercely kissed her mouth, which always said things that made him uncontrollably furious. This woman was more adorable when she didn't speak. Yan Xiaoyi moaned softly and raised her hand to hit his chest, struggling to not let him invade. Perhaps men were naturally talented in this aspect. Qiao Jin, who only had 2 kissing experiences, had already learned the essence. He easily turned Yan Xiaoyi's resistance into nothingness. She couldn't move at all. She forced herself to accept Qiao Jin's domineering kiss. This kiss didn't make Yan Xiaoyi feel the slightest bit of sweetness. Instead, there was intense pain and bitterness. He didn't love her. But he did such things to her several times. He even slandered her relationship with Long Yunzhan. Yan Xiaoyi remembered it clearly. The last time when Qiao Jin kissed her forcefully, he clearly didn't have any technique and only knew how to bite her. This time, she felt weak all over and couldn't handle it. Although she didn't understand, she understood common sense. This kind of technique wasn't something that could be mastered after just 1 or 2 times. Was it, Tao Tao? This name made Yan Xiaoyi feel even more bitter. Women always like to let their imaginations run wild. At this moment, it was inevitable that she would make wild guesses because of Qiao Jin's change. Was it because of the critical moment of the interclass competition and Qiao Jin couldn't appear to see Tao Tao, so he used her as a substitute? Would he kiss Tao Tao after he got better at it? Her eyes suddenly widened. Unconcealable pain flashed across her eyes. Qiao Jin captured this trace of pain. His kiss paused for a moment. Following that, Qiao Jin's kiss became even more ferocious. Did she hate his kisses that much? Did she really not want him to touch her? He wanted her to remember his kiss and his taste. He wanted her to become just like him, only thinking about him in her head. This thought caused a certain impulse in Xiao Jin's heart to become even more intense. Yan Xiaoyi was kissed until she could only lean on him and barely stand up straight. He wanted to struggle, but it felt like he was scratching an itch. On the contrary, it seemed like he was trying to resist, but he was trying to entice Xiao Jin. She turned her head to avoid his kiss. In the next instant, her body felt light as Xiao Jin carried her by the waist. Ah! She was so frightened that she let out a soft cry. Only the sound of things falling to the ground could be heard. Then, her body was placed on the table. Yan Xiaoyi had yet to react and was about to get up. Xiao Jin's boiling hot body had already pressed down. Xiao Jin. Yan Xiaoyi realized something and her expression changed instantly. What are you doing? Xiao Jin gave a low laugh and kissed her neck. Can't you tell what I want to do? As soon as his kiss touched her skin, she felt a chill run down her spine. Yan Xiaoyi trembled all over. Her eyes were already wet. Those were tears from being angered by Xiao Jin. And tears from being seduced by Xiao Jin. Chapter 1049. Do you know what you're doing? Yan Xiaoyi panted lightly, trying her best to restrain her cloud of emotions. Xiao Jin lifted his head, his elbow propped on the side of her body. I don't know. Yan Xiaoyi was speechless and turned her face away. She really had nothing to say to this man. What did he want to do? Did he feel a sense of achievement by teasing her? This level can make you absent-minded. Xiao Jin's voice suddenly came close to her ear. That voice, with a hint of desire, under deliberate suppression, revealed a husky magnetism. Looks like I have to work harder. As soon as he finished speaking, his warm thin lips sucked on her earlobe. Yan Xiaoyi moaned, her consciousness about to disperse. Xiao Jin's eyes leapt up with a hint of a smile. He liked to see Yan Xiaoyi reveal such an expression because of him. He liked to hear Yan Xiaoyi's coquettish voice. He wanted Yan Xiaoyi's mind to be filled with only him. His actions became more and more fanatical. Her meaning became more and more abstracted. Her entire body had already turned into a puddle of water, bearing all of Xiao Jin's actions. Yan Xiaoyi only came back to her senses when she felt a chill in front of her. Her top had been unbuttoned at some point. Xiao Jin's kiss was about to fall. She raised her hand and slapped Xiao Jin's face. Paw! A deafening sound, extremely loud and clear. It also smashed the ambiguous feelings between the two of them. Xiao Jin's dark jade eyes, filled with desire, gradually focused and fixed on Yan Xiaoyi's face. His pupils contracted, his face somewhat pale. What was he doing? Why did he feel like he couldn't control himself when he saw Yan Xiaoyi? At that time, he saw Yan Xiaoyi walk into the class committee room. He was ecstatic. He saw her turn and leave. He knew that he couldn't let her leave just like that. So, he stopped Yan Xiaoyi. He didn't want Yan Xiaoyi to leave. He used such a method to force her to stay. To Yan Xiaoyi, so sorry. Xiao Jin turned over and got up from her. His entire body was tense, unable to recover from his loss of control. At this moment, if Xiao Jin still didn't understand his feelings. If so, he would be even more of a pig than a pig. He liked Yan Xiaoyi. He didn't know when it started, but he had fallen in love with this girl. She was always bickering with him, never obeying his orders, and yet he couldn't take his eyes off her. However, he had done such a thing to her. It was the first time they hugged secretly. The second forceful kiss. The third time, he pinned her under his body. She must hate him to the core. No, he could not let her hate him. Xiao Jin clenched his fists and prepared himself mentally. He turned around and lowered his head to apologize to Yan Xiaoyi. Xiaoyi, I'm sorry, you can hit me or scold me, don't hate me. Before he could say the word, "Pa." Another resounding slap landed on his face. Yan Xiaoyi clutches her clothes tightly and slides down from the table. Xiaoyi. Xiao Jin pursed his lips, not dodging. He could only endure her anger. He lifted his eyes and looked at Yan Xiaoyi. As long as she calmed down, she could hit him however she wanted. However, when he saw Yan Xiaoyi, Xiao Jin's gaze couldn't be shifted away. Yan Xiaoyi was so embarrassed that her face was red to the ears. Her lively beautiful eyes, under Yunliqing, added a bit of charm. To him, that was a fatal poison. He opened his mouth, wanting to express his feelings. Chapter 1050. Xiao Jin was slightly taken aback as he saw Yan Xiaoyi gathering her clothes and getting up to escape. In his panic, he immediately grabbed her arm. Xiaoyi, listen to me, his voice suddenly paused. Because he saw Yan Xiaoyi's reddened eyes. She stared at him with her beautiful, watery eyes that were tinged with redness. That delicate little face was expressionless. Xiao Jin's heart felt as if it was being pierced by needles, a tearing pain. Yan Xiaoyi, such a strong-willed woman. Such a strong woman. Even in the Yan family, Yan Jinfei deliberately ostracized and framed him. She was a truly talented young lady of the Yan family, but she had been reduced to a useless servant girl who was despised by the entire Yan family. She was able to grit her teeth and endure it. With her own ability, she had secretly made plans for her future. After entering the devil class, her innate talent caught the eye of Long Yunzhan. After formal training, she successfully joined the class committee. No matter how hard it was or how tired she was, she never complained about it. She was so strong that she didn't seem like a woman. But now, she cried. Because of him, such a strong woman had cried. Looking at her reddened eyes, the words that Xiao Jin was about to say got stuck in his throat and he couldn't spit them out. His heart was filled with grief. His heart ached to the extreme. His grip on Yan Xiaoyi's hand gradually loosened. Yan Xiaoyi retracted her gaze, not wanting to look at him again. His eyes were filled with so much pain and so much passion. She almost had the illusion that he cared about her and valued her. He couldn't look anymore. If she fell into Xiao Jin's heart again, sooner or later, she would not be herself. When the large palm on her wrist loosened, Yan Xiaoyi tightened her clothes and fled the class committee room. He did not give Xiao Jin the slightest chance to make him stay. The inter-class competition was about to begin in half a month. Yiqing Luo kept all her thoughts and concentrated on giving these mercenaries the fastest and shortest explosive training. The training methods that the bunch of old fogies in the Hidden World Yi family trained the Death Warriors, were all used on the students of the Devil class. Each method was crueler than the previous. With Dmo Xian's help, the effect was extremely obvious. The students also knew the importance of this competition, and all of them trained very hard. Their fighting spirit was high, and no one complained of tiredness. There were only 7 days left before the competition. Yiqing Luo gathered all the students and divided them into groups for confrontation. Last night, she told Dmo Xian and another god thief, as they snuck into the Shangguan family's residence, opened their little treasury and directly stole 10 pieces of essence and above weapons. Among them were 2 supreme being grade weapons. Although it was a pure grade weapon, it was not the best. But, to be used as weapons for the students of Devil class, it was more than enough. Yiqing Luo was planning to wait till she met suitable ones in the future to forge a supreme grade weapon for each of them. When the 10 weapons were placed on a makeshift platform in the training ground, more than 60 students stared at them with their eyes wide open. Next, I will divide you into 10 teams. You can choose members from other teams and compete against each other. Who will emerge victorious? The eyes of over 60 students lit up. It was obvious that they were extremely interested in these weapons. Originally he thought that Yiqing Luo would say, whoever obtained victory would be able to obtain these weapons. Chapter 1051. The second round of competition. Yiqing Luo naturally let the 10 of them challenge Long Yunzhan, Yan Xiaoyi, Qiao Jin and Mo Yuing. As for Baiming Lulu, Yiqing Luo gave her several prescriptions, asking her to make the best use of her time to refine pills. As for the main output, these students were more than enough. With the main output, they still needed support and treatment. Baiming Lulu just happened to provide these 2 points. Moreover, as compared to training and fighting, Baiming Lulu apparently liked to refine pills more. After challenging the 4 members of the class committee, it was time to challenge Dmo Xian. As long as they were able to last more than 10 rounds in Dmo Xian's hands, they would obtain the rights to choose their weapons. When these students heard that, although they felt that this kind of round after round of competition was indeed too much for them, but they had to admit, it had aroused their fighting spirit. Even if there was no weapon as a reward, they also wanted to try their best to challenge the class committee, to challenge Supreme Mo. Looking at the students' fighting spirit, Yiqing Luo gave a satisfied smile. This battle is our battle to turn the tables. Let the other classes, and even the other academies, see clearly that we, Devil class, are not a waste class. Your current hard work will make your future filled with surprises. If you want to wash away the shame of being waste, then use your sweat to wipe away this shame. Remember this battle is not for me, not for Devil class, but for yourselves. For your own dignity, for your own future. I hope, in future no matter where you go, there will be people using an envious and worshipping tone to say to you, while you are Devil class's students. Devil class will become the synonym of your glory. Yiqing Luo's sonorous voice paused, as her gaze swept past them. Do you have confidence? Yes. After 5 days of sleepless resistance. Finally, there were 2 students who fought their way out of the tight encirclement, obtaining 2 weapons. One was Bei Ming Lianqing, the other was Tong Ziqing. Long Yunzhan and the others were all exhausted. Yan Xiaoyi and Mo Yuing were all covered with big and small injuries. Qiao Jin also couldn't avoid some external injuries. But the 4 of them had a relaxed and satisfied smile on their faces. Even Long Yunzhan, when he saw the students' huge improvement, his brows revealed a smile. However, what puzzled everyone was, Yan Xiaoyi and Qiao Jin did not speak during these few days of training. They didn't say a word to each other. After accepting the challenge, he led his team to fight against Qiao Jin's team. Yan Xiaoyi did not hold back at all. On the contrary, it was Qiao Jin. When facing Mo Yang and Long Yunzhan's team, his attacks were ruthless and every move was fatal. But when it came to Yan Xiaoyi, he was so terrified that he retreated step by step. Other than passively receiving Yan Xiaoyi's attacks, he had no intention of retaliating. After a few times, Yan Xiaoyi directly refused to compete with Qiao Jin. Yiqing Luo crossed her arms in front of her chest as she squinted her eyes and stared at the strange atmosphere between the both of them. She nudged Dmo Xian. What conflict are the both of them having this time? Dmo Xian's shimmering peach blossom eyes glanced over as he shook his head. Apart from her, no one else mattered. Naturally, he would not bother to pay attention to it. On the other hand, Tong Ziqing, who was resting on the ground, put down the pure grade whip in her hand and mumbled, "Maybe I helped the wrong person. Yiqing Luo raised her brows and squatted down to gossip. Tell me about it. Chapter 1052. She scratched her head, and a trace of awkwardness appeared on her cold and elegant face. I think they like each other. Watching them torment each other for a few days and hiding from each other isn't a good idea, so I decided to give them a push. Who would have thought that with this push, the two of them would no longer hide from each other? But it was obvious that Yan Xiaoyi had treated Xiao Jin as a stranger. Tong Ziqing's eyes dimmed as she subconsciously glanced at Long Yunjian, who was as elegant as a bamboo. If, once the relationship between the brothers was exposed, it would be very painful. We can't even be friends anymore. Then would it be the same for her and Long Yunjian? I don't even have the right to accompany Long Yunjian. After coming out from the illusion, Tong Ziqing had thought about confessing her feelings to Long Yunjian. But, seeing Yan Xiaoyi and Xiao Jin like this, the courage that he had summoned with great difficulty was now gone. Yiqing Luo saw Tong Ziqing's inexplicable depressed expression. Following her gaze, he saw Long Yunjian. He immediately understood. It was never a secret that Tong Ziqing liked Long Yunjian. However, the target was Long Yunjian. Yiqing Luo didn't know whether to persuade her to give up or to persist. He could only remain silent and not disturb Tong Ziqing's thoughts. Perhaps sensing Yiqing Luo's gaze, Long Yunjian glanced sideways at her. His azure blue eyes became gentle. Yiqing Luo was just about to reply with a smile when her slender waist was suddenly pulled by someone. She fell right into Dmo Xian's arms. She instinctively wrapped her arms around Dmo Xian's neck and glared at him in annoyance. Our classmates are all here. Dmo Xian's deep eyes sunk. So what if she's here? You are Supreme Mo now. Yiqing Luo's slender fingers poked Dmo Xian's handsome face. Don't divert the attention of the students. Dmo Xian chuckled. Who in the class doesn't know that this master has an affair with you? Except for a few members of the class committee. The other students had never thought that the person who had been guiding them was the overlord. Every time they saw Supreme Mo interacting intimately with their boss, they would feel extremely conflicted. Dizun is very good. Supreme Mo was also very good. Moreover, both of them were extremely good-looking men. Moreover, both of them doted on their boss to the heavens. Who should they help? Could he let Boss Qing Luo take both of them in? The Heavenly Academy's interclass competition had officially started. Under the instruction of the dean, the students of the Heavenly Academy left the academy a day earlier and headed to the West Square for the competition. The interclass competition was the highlight of every academy. It was equivalent to the midterm and final exams for students in the 21st century. For an academy, it was equivalent to a graduation exam. Naturally, he had to accept the observation and evaluation of the other academies, as well as the headquarters. The West Billow Plaza was about 200 to 300 li away from Three Springs City. The procession was majestic, parading the streets and promoting their presence. When he arrived at the West Wave Plaza, it was already close to noon. West Lawn Plaza was a special place that was often used for large-scale competitions. Because of this, two large residences similar to the Academy's dormitories were built far away from the Western continent. A man's mansion. A woman's mansion. It was specially provided for the participating academies to live in. Moreover, because there would often be academies coming here to set up competitions, a small town gradually formed in the vicinity of the Western continent. The entire West Wave Plaza was bustling with noise and excitement. On the first day, the director got the various classes' masters to invite the students to stay in the mansion. Chapter 1053. Devil Class Students. Yiqing Luo didn't want the students who had seen the World Mercenary Group to recognize their identities. He specially asked Dmo Xian to give each of them a simple disguise. The men and women lived in separate residences, and they were each assigned to the most remote courtyard. Yi Qing Luo and the rest didn't mind. It didn't matter where he stayed. He would only be staying for 4 or 5 days anyway. Yi Qing Luo didn't give them a chance to rest. After lunch, he called for a group of students to go to the back mountain of Shilon Square for pre-match warm-up training. Recently, the students had been training non-stop, training day and night. Compared to the students of the other classes, they looked dispirited and dispirited. The students of Devil class were obviously much more spirited. After lunch, the other students were preparing for tomorrow's competition. As for the students of the Devil class, they headed towards other places in a mighty formation. The headmasters and elders, as well as the onlookers, turned to look at them. He seemed to be guessing which class this student belonged to. He actually had to go out and exhaust his strength during the most important rest period. A useless class is indeed a useless class. Other than eating, drinking, and having fun, you guys can't do anything. A sharp voice came from not far away. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked over. He saw Shengguan Liuli and 7 to 8 students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 coming back with bags of all sizes. Clearly, he had just returned from the market and was preparing to rest. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but scoffed. He did not know how Shengguan Liuli, this white-eyed woman, could be so thick-skinned to say such words. Seeing Yi Qing Luo's sneer, Shengguan Liuli's expression changed immediately. What are you laughing at? Am I wrong? The competition will begin tomorrow, yet you still have the leisure to go out now. You're simply too foolish. The onlookers were enlightened. So these students are from the Devil class, which is known as the waste class in the Heavenly Academy. Only the students from the useless classes would go out in groups during the most important break time. I don't know what's wrong with the Devil class this year, to actually want to participate in the interclass competition. Several spectators from other forces began to discuss in low voices. In this era, only the strong were respected. Even though they knew that Shengguan Liuli and the others were there, they still formed a small team and went to the market to have fun. However, when they saw the class that was called trash, they went to the market to play in groups. Everyone naturally leaned towards Shengguan Liuli. But very quickly, a representative from another party whispered, "You guys don't know, I heard." During this year's Heavenly Academy enrollment, there was an extremely talented student who could be called as the second overlord, who entered the Devil class. The second venerable sovereign. Are you kidding me? Someone with such great talent would still be assigned to the Devil class. The Heavenly Academy has been holding the title of the best academy for 5 consecutive years. Surely they wouldn't make such a low-level mistake, right? Someone immediately shook his head in doubt. These were indeed unbelievable words. He could be called the second Dizun. How powerful would that person be? How could such a powerful person be assigned to a trash class? Was the Heavenly Academy going to ascend to the heavens? It's absolutely true. This student has a great background. You must have heard of her name before. The representative said mysteriously. Chapter 1054. What? The 7th young lady of the Yi clan. You mean that useless 7th miss whose fiancé was stolen by her own elder sister? I've heard of her. Someone screamed. I didn't expect her to be the 7th young lady of the Yi family. As one of the 4 great sects, Yi Qing Luo was one of the future patriarchs. Once her name was announced, all the forces of the Western continent would know of it. Even the people from other continents had heard of Yi Qing Luo's notorious name. Naturally, there were also people who knew Yi Qing Luo's current reputation. She's the first one to break the Heavenly Academy's admission records. In just an hour, he had passed the entrance examination. And he has a close relationship with His Majesty. Yes, Do you still remember the earth-shattering battle in the tomb of King Ling last month? He mentioned what happened in the Ling King's tomb. There was no one who didn't know. That day, the divine artifact descended into the world. Countless forces went to the tomb of the Ling King just to snatch the divine artifact. Unexpectedly, they were attacked by the dark forces and suffered heavy casualties. This matter caused an uproar in the entire Western continent. Naturally, there was no one who did not know about it. That day, the person who obtained the divine weapon and summoned the divine dragon and the white tiger was the seventh young mistress of the Yi clan. When she said that, everyone's gaze towards Yi Qing Luo was instantly filled with reverence and respect. The crowd looked at Yi Qing Luo with sparkling eyes. He had a close relationship with Di Zun. He could summon the supreme divine dragon. He could subdue the holy beast white tiger. His talent must be extremely strong, heaven-defying, to the extent that no one could reach. The last battle in King Ling's tomb, it was Yi Qing Luo who took action and subdued the dark forces people. With such a powerful person around, it was no wonder that the trash class dared to participate in the interclass competition. Wait, since the seventh young mistress of the Yi family is so powerful, why was she assigned to the devil class? Don't tell me that the Heavenly Academy's dean doesn't know how to look at a student's talent. The onlookers started to raise their doubts. Logically speaking, to be able to pass the Academy's admission assessment within half an hour and break the Heavenly Academy's record over the years. No matter what, he wouldn't be assigned to the devil class, right? Everyone started to speculate about the principal's intentions. Shangguan Liuli's face turned pale. She originally wanted to ridicule Yi Qing Luo for humiliating her. She had not expected that she actually pushed Yi Qing Luo, making her the object of worship for the surrounding crowd. How could he feel at ease? Immediately, Shangguan Liuli said sourly, "The interclass competition is a team competition. So what if student Yi is the only one who is strong? As for the other students, they are still trash." These words were indeed reasonable. Even if Yi Qing Luo was so strong that no one could match her. However, the competition between classes was a competition between classes. It was not an individual competition. Student Yi, don't forget the blood oath between us. Shangguan Liuli's arrogant face was filled with a ruthless sneer. With this bunch of trash, let's see how you're going to win. Yi Qing Luo sneered. His eyes were cold. It's our class. How we get first place is our business. Our class going out to play is also our business. She curled her lips and her eyes were filled with ambiguity. Student Shangguan is so concerned about the devil class, could it be? Student Shangguan to me. She paused and didn't continue. But the onlookers all understood what she meant. Their gazes towards Shangguan Liuli were filled with disdain and ridicule. Chapter 1055. Shangguan Liuli was so embarrassed that her face flushed red. She was embarrassed and angry at the same time. She stared at Yi Qing Luo resentfully as she tore her throat and sharply berated, "Who has any strange feelings towards you? How can you be so shameless?" Saying that, Shangguan Liuli rushed towards the direction of the mansion. She couldn't stay here any longer. She was afraid that she couldn't control herself and would make a move on Yi Qing Luo. Not only was she unable to defeat Yi Qing Luo, she was also humiliated by her. Because of this, she would be reprimanded by the academy and in more serious cases, she would be disqualified from the competition. But Shangguan Liuli's furious back view as she left. In everyone's eyes, it was because her thoughts were exposed and she fled in embarrassment. Ni Ruopan stood beside Yi Qing Luo and laughed, "You're indeed Madam Qing Luo, just a few words and you made Shangguan Liuli speechless." Yi Qing Luo glanced at her, "The interclass competition is around the corner, we can't casually fight with other students and cause unnecessary trouble." Of course, the most important thing was. She didn't intend to waste her energy because of Shangguan Liuli. Let's go. Yiqing Luo said calmly as she took the lead to pass the crowd and walked towards the rear mountain. The crowd gave way to her as they were filled with admiration and envy towards this young lady who had such ability at such a young age. After leaving the crowd, she walked for about 10 meters. Yiqing Luo's footsteps suddenly halted. Turning back, her gaze was fixed on a certain spot. But she saw that there were only a few ordinary crowd who were pointing at her with eyes filled with respect. Yiqing Luo frowned as she retracted her gaze. Could it be an illusion? Why did she feel as though someone was watching her? In the dark corner, a man dressed in a blood-red robe with a jade belt was staring fixedly at the young lady's back view as she retracted her gaze. His icy cold eyes were filled with a chilly demonic coldness. That extraordinary handsome face was emotionless, dressed in a flirtatious red. But his imposing manner was as cold as ice. But, this combination. It didn't seem out of place. On the contrary, he felt that this man was born to wear a red robe. Until Yiqing Luo's back view completely disappeared before his eyes. The man then lowered his gaze and lowered his long eyelashes. A waist for 15 years, suddenly there was a change and she became so powerful. What kind of secret was hidden within? He would definitely find out the reason for Yiqing Luo's change. On the mountain behind West Lawn Square. This back mountain could also be considered as a training ground for the profound practitioners and students who had come to participate in the tournament. Such as the Magical Beast Forest or the Heavenly Training Forest. There were quite a few profound practitioners at the periphery. Some were sightseeing, some were conversing, and some were taking a stroll. Seeing more than 60 young students dressed in the uniform of the Heavenly Academy, coming in majestically. Those cultivators stopped in their tracks and looked over, sending Yiqing Luo and the rest into the deep end of the rear mountain. These students are really hard-working. Tomorrow is the competition, and today they still have to participate in the training. The Heavenly Academy is indeed the best academy, the perseverance of these students is admirable. These profound practitioners were speaking. Then, he saw a group of students walking over. Their leader was a spoiled and willful young lady. She pulled one of them aside and asked, "Where did that bunch of trash go?" The profound practitioner who was being dragged furrowed his brows in displeasure. Just as he was about to break free from the female student's restraints, but he saw a student walking up from behind the female student. He raised his hand and a dagger was placed on his neck. The profound practitioner's eyes widened in shock as his trembling hand pointed towards the direction where Yiqing Luo and the rest had left. What kind of student was this? Chapter 1056. By right, this afternoon was the last resting period before tomorrow's competition. She should let the students have a good rest. But, Yiqing Luo wasn't worried about this. Previously she asked Bei Ming Lu to refine these pills, which were all from the 100 pills refinement, to strengthen the body and replenish energy. Of course, this was purely to replenish energy and strength. This was also the pill which many of the students who were taking part in the competition often took. It wasn't considered as the competition's banned drug. Devil classes students didn't need to worry about being exhausted due to excessive training. As for the reason why Yiqing Luo chose the rear mountain for the last training, it was because the last training was to train the class's students' teamwork. Although they had been working together for such a long period of time, they had also established a mercenary group to do missions together. The rapport between them, as compared to other groups, was indeed outstanding. But to Yiqing Luo, these were far from enough. What she wanted was for these students to remember each and every companion's action and gaze. Of course, this was easier said than done. In her past life, Yiqing Luo had always been a lone ranger and had never nurtured any so-called partners. Towards teamwork, she had heard those old fogies talk about it before. The method which Yiqing Luo used was a method which those old fogies had once mentioned. The most cliché but the most effective. He tied a red ribbon around the legs of more than 60 students, trapping the 60 over students tightly together. On the ribbon, there was a bell hanging from every student. After the students were tied up, they moved their legs and that bell, jingle jingle, was extremely crisp and clear. Now, run 1 round around the 100-mile radius of the middle periphery. Yiqing Luo said calmly from behind. Run. The students' faces were filled with puzzlement. So simple. Following that, they saw a black-furred leopard beast appearing behind them. The students instantly wailed, I knew it. Wouldn't be so simple. Shiju, spare us. Shiju raised its head and gave a long howl. That huge leopard body slowly arched up and with a leap, it chased after them. What the? Shiju, you're so cute, can't you go easy on us? Chasing after us just because of a disagreement. Little cutie Shiju, as a magical beast, you can't be so rough, the students screamed and screamed, but they still ran forward quickly. This kind of training where he was chased by Shiju and had to run upside down all over the field. This was their daily homework. But this time, one of their legs was tied with a red ribbon. More than 60 people were tied together. When he lifted his leg, there was not the slightest bit of tacit understanding. One after another, they staggered and fell to the ground with a crackling sound. Shiju pounced forward and pressed heavily on them. Although he had retracted his claws, he still had sharp teeth. However, this weight was enough to make the students cough uncontrollably. Yiqing Luo called Shiju back as she crossed her arms and looked at the students. Now do you understand the reason why I asked you to run 1 round? Understood. The students rubbed their sore spots and quickly adjusted their state of mind. They began to discuss how to run together. In less than an hour, these students were already able to walk and run together, and their speed was not slow either. Their gazes were all focused on the companions beside them. Then, he quickly adjusted his rhythm. Chapter 1057. After another 4 hours, the students' speed became faster and faster. Just like the usual training when they were chased by Shiju. Just like one person running. 60 over students ran in unison. Their actions were the same and their speed was the same. There was no flaw at all. After going 1 round around the entire middle circle, the students stood in front of Yiqing Luo delightfully. On their faces, not only were they complacent, their faces were filled with smiles. As though they were waiting for Yiqing Luo's compliments. Standing beside Yiqing Luo, looking at these students' colorful expressions, Qiao Jin couldn't help but laughed out. Accompanying the laughter was Yan Shaoyi. The two of them spoke in unison and laughed out at the same time. This tacit understanding made the two of them stop laughing. Their 4 eyes subconsciously intersected. Just their gazes met for a moment and the two of them shifted away at the same time. The atmosphere suddenly turned awkward. Those students who had smiles on their faces, waiting for compliments, also sensed the strange atmosphere. All of them kept the smiles in their eyes as they obediently stood upright. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as she glanced sideways at the 2 people beside her, frowning slightly. The 2 of them. If this carried on, it would definitely affect the students' emotions. After all, the 2 of them were the main force of the students. And the role models in the students' hearts. Looked like she had to have a good talk with them tonight. Yiqing Luo took a step forward. All the students' gazes were concentrated on her. Yiqing Luo coughed lightly, as a way to ease the atmosphere and divert the students' emotions as she said softly, very good, next, your challenge is to level up. She paused slightly. Her eyes congealed towards the students as she smiled sweetly. From now on, continue to run one round around the middle circle. The prerequisite is that the bells on your feet are not allowed to make any sound. The students were dumbstruck. After several breaths of silence, the students started to wail as they fell onto the ground. Boss Ching Luo. Isn't your request a little too harsh? How can it not make any sound? So many bells. And the surroundings are filled with leaves and bushes. Even if we control the bells to not make any sound, the sound will be swept away by these external objects. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as a sliver of ridicule flashed past her eyes, as she lightly swept past those students who were acting shamelessly on the ground. Feel that I'm forcing you? The students didn't answer, which could be considered as an admission. Yiqing Luo looked at a direction not too far away and saw that Mo Yuing and Shi Ju had yet to return. He then said to Long Yunzhan, "Class monitor, let's try." Long Yunzhan understood and walked directly in front of Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo took out a red ribbon with 2 bells on it and tied her and Long Yunzhan's legs together. Then, with a burst of Xian Qi, he sent out a palm wind that landed not far away. A thick and sturdy tree fell to the ground with a bang. Yiqing Luo pointed to the place where the tree had fallen and said calmly, "Class monitor and I will go there and come back. Open your ears and listen carefully." After saying that, she glanced at Long Yunzhan. Long Yunzhan nodded slightly. The two of them looked at the tree at the same time. In an instant, the two of them turned into 2 afterimages and headed straight for the tree. The students only felt a gust of cold wind blow past their cheeks, followed by another gust of cold wind. The two of them had already returned to their original spot. As though they had not moved at all. The speed was so fast that it was merely a blink of an eye. The students' hearts were deeply shaken. Is there any sound? Yiqing Luo untied their ribbons as her brows rose as she asked. Chapter 1058. Since we can do it, you can do it too. Yiqing Luo's eyes rose slightly as a trace of craftiness and ridicule flashed past her eyes. The students suddenly felt immense pressure. She could do it, class monitor could do it too. That was a matter of course. But if it were them, how could they possibly do it? Just at this moment, they heard a commotion from the magical beasts, as well as the magical beasts' roars. Not too far away, 10 extremely ferocious-looking low and middle-leveled magical beasts appeared. The students' expressions changed drastically as they had a thought in their minds. Indeed, they heard Yiqing Luo's voice which was filled with laughter, melodious. "This time, I'll let you off and not let Shi Ju chase after you. Change it to these low and middle-leveled magical beasts." Shi Ju's speed was extremely fast. Under the condition that the bell did not ring, 60 people moved forward at the same time. It was indeed as difficult as ascending to heaven. Yiqing Luo specially asked Mo Yuing and Shi Ju to go to the middle to invite 10 low-leveled magical beasts for help. These magical beasts' speed was slightly faster than ordinary wild beasts. Just suitable for their training. Hence, the passing cultivators who were training saw such a shocking scene. A large group of students dressed in the Heavenly Academy's uniform screamed in a heart-wrenching manner as they ran forward in a horrendous manner. And behind them, 10 low and middle-leveled magical beasts were chasing after them crazily. At this moment, a few masters dressed in the Academy's robes were followed by 4 to 5 high-profound Class 2 students. Walking right in front was a handsome man dressed in a blood-red robe with an expressionless face. The masters were surrounding that red-robed man with a flattering smile on their faces, as though they were talking about something. Suddenly, the high-profound class students who were following behind exclaimed, "Vice President, look! Isn't that devil class's trash?" Everyone's vision turned over. It wasn't because of this student's exclamation. But The rumbling sound coming from the front was too eye-catching. Not too far away, 60 over students were running wildly. The tinkling of the bell was extremely crisp, making their eardrums hurt. And behind those 60 over students, 10 over low and middle-leveled magical beasts were chasing after them. The headmaster's face darkened. What's going on? The high profound class 2 student pursed his lips and chuckled. Devil class's trash is really worrisome. So many people were actually scared off by a few low-leveled magical beasts. What a disgrace to the Heavenly Academy. His tone was filled with contempt. Lu Shuiyu frowned as she looked at the devil class students who were being chased and screaming. A trace of astonishment flashed across his eyes. He could not sense any particularly strong profound chi from these devil class students. However, she was astonished by their speed. Of course, Lu Shuiyu didn't care about this speed. It's just a few low-level trash that can be easily killed, yet they were chased to this state. I really don't know where they get the confidence to participate in the interclass competition. Lu Shuilan lightly snorted. She held on to her sister's hand. Sister, look at how useless they are and you're still worried, wanting to guard against the devil class. I say, you're just worrying for nothing. Lu Shuiyu did not reply. He had suffered so many losses in Yiqing Luo's hands. She really didn't believe that young lady would fight a battle that she had no confidence in. Yiqing Luo would be so confident in the interclass competition. It must be because she had a sure win method. But when she saw the low-leveled magical beasts chasing the screaming devil class students. Chapter 1059. This group of students, a master's face darkened as he carefully glanced at the man in red beside him. Seeing that he was still emotionless, the master was perturbed. The group of students howled and screamed as they ran past them, kicking up a cloud of dust and broken leaves. Only then did these teachers react and quickly helped the man in red to block the sand and leaves. Following that, a wave of middle and low-level magical beasts came chasing after them in an overbearing manner. Students of the devil class. Tomorrow is the competition, what are you all still doing here? The master could not take it anymore and reprimanded. He immediately went forward and prepared to deal with those low and middle-level magical beasts. Although he looked down on this useless class and this group of useless students. But after all, the devil class was a class of the Heavenly Academy. Wearing the uniform of the Heavenly Academy, they represented the Heavenly Academy when they were outside. No matter what, they could not let this group of useless people embarrass the Heavenly Academy. However, before this teacher could take a step forward, a hand was placed on his shoulder, stopping him from moving. The master stopped in his tracks and turned his head. He saw the shoulder, the blood-colored wide-sleeve robe, which made one's heart feel inexplicably scared. The master's heart tightened as he stood straight. Master Zhu. The man in red squinted his cold eyes. Let the students settle their own matters, there's no need for you all to do it. That master was stunned and immediately looked down. Master Zhu is right. The few masters looked at each other, not understanding. This Xu Wu Axian who looked cold and emotionless, as if he was not the least bit interested in anything. He actually took the initiative to stop them and help the devil class. The masters were perturbed, secretly speculating about Zhu Wu Axian's actions, but they could not figure it out. But the high profound class 2 students at the side, when they saw Zhu Wu Axian stopping the masters and helping the devil class, their eyes revealed a look of delight. Lu Shuilan whispered into Lu Shuiyu's ear, Sister, does Master Zhu hate the devil class too? Lu Shuiyu glanced at her, warning her to shut up. Lu Shuilan pursed her lips. After last time, when she almost took over the position of vice president from Lu Shuiyu's hands, and after Lu Shuiyu snatched the position back, she didn't dare to have any crooked thoughts towards Lu Shuiyu. Seeing Lu Shuiyu's warning, she did not dare to speak again. She continued to discuss this matter with the other 3 female students behind her in a low voice. Lu Shuayu looked coldly at the devil class who was being chased by the magical beasts. He glanced at Zhu Wuxian from the corner of his eyes, only to see the expressionless red-shirt man staring fixedly at the direction where the devil class had disappeared. His face was expressionless, and his eyes were emotionless. However, Lu Shuayu still felt that something was wrong. Why would Zhu Wuxian stop teacher from helping the devil class deal with those magical beasts? Didn't he hate trouble the most and never bother with things that had nothing to do with him? Could it be that it was really as Lu Shuelon said? Zhu Wuxin hated the devil class. The students of the headmaster had different feelings. Zhu Wuxin didn't pay any attention, and he didn't want to pay any attention. His gaze was fixed on the youths who were running in the distance. There was a faint ripple in his heart. These were her classmates. Was she using this kind of method to train these students? He could see that although these students were fleeing in a sorry state, their mouths were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. But in every student's eyes, there was a resolute and fearless glow. How could a student with this kind of glow be trash? It was her. Was she changing these students? This thought did not make Zhu Wuxian feel happy at all. On the contrary, his brows slightly furrowed. Chapter 1060. After a long period of energy exhaustion, these students gradually lost their stamina. But the thought of their companions beside them, thinking of the bells on their legs, thinking of the magical beasts behind them. Still, they mustered up their strong willpower and continued to charge forward. They tried their best to coordinate with their companions, not letting their bells make any sound. What they wanted was absolute tacit cooperation. What they wanted was to be fearless, persevering all the way to complete the target which Yi Qing Luo had set. Because they were devil classes students. This kind of training continued all the way till 7 o'clock, which was around 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening. Devil classes students then stopped in front of Yi Qing Luo with their heads full of sweat. They had completed Yi Qing Luo's mission. Under the pursuit of the mid- and low-leveled magical beasts, 60 over people ran together, but the bells didn't make any sound. Looking at these youngsters who were obviously about to collapse onto the ground but still stood up stubbornly, Yi Qing Luo's eyes were filled with a faint smile. Her pink lips curled slightly. "You've done very well, I'm proud of you." Ecstatic expressions immediately appeared on the faces of those young people, as though a day's hard work was worth it. Some youngsters even cried tears of joy. Yi Qing Luo's forehead was filled with black lines as her lips twitched as she looked at Long Yunzhan. Isn't this a little too exaggerated? Getting a word of praise and recognition from her was like getting the whole world. This tears of joy, wasn't it a little too exaggerated? Long Yunzhan rarely curled his lips as his azure blue eyes were gentle. It's not exaggerated. Not knowing when it started, Yi Qing Luo's existence was already the core of devil class. Her every word, every action, was able to stir up the emotions of all the students in the class. Her recognition. To the students, it was the recognition towards them. Yi Qing Luo and the others were drenched in sweat as they prepared to leave the rear mountain. The sky was already dark and the number of people in the rear mountain was getting lesser and lesser. They had just reached the middle of the mountain when they saw 5 to 6 people coming forward. The person who was walking right in front was Tao Tao. "Qing Luo, I've finally found you." Tao Zi's expression was flustered as she swiftly rushed forward. "Qing Luo, it's bad, your brother. Your brother has been kidnapped." The joy on everyone's faces instantly dispersed. "What did you say? What happened to Xiaoyu?" Yi Qing Luo gripped the Peach's wrist, her expression sunk. Peach was panting heavily, with a thin layer of sweat on her forehead. It was obvious that she had been looking for her for a long time. She sped up and said, "I received a secret report from the 3,000 peach blossoms. Someone hired an assassin from the Hall of Assassins to kidnap Yu. When I heard this news, I immediately went to Low Profound Class 2 to look for him, but after asking all the students, they said that after Yu returned to his dormitory, there was no trace of him." Yiqing Luo's heart tightened as her eyes turned severe. "Who is it?" "I've already asked the members of Peach Blossom 3000 to search for Yu's whereabouts. We should be able to get the news when we return to the dormitory," Peach replied immediately. Yiqing Luo nodded and called Shiju over as she flipped over and leapt onto Shiju's back. Immediately, he grabbed Peach with one hand and pulled her onto Shiju's back. "I'm going back to the dormitory first," Yiqing Luo said. Shiju turned into a bolt of lightning, swiftly vanishing before everyone's eyes. Long Yunzhan's eyes sunk slightly and without saying a single word, he speedily chased after Yiqing Luo's direction. Chapter 1061. Qiao Jin had just finished speaking when he suddenly reacted. His relationship with Yan Xiaoyi was no longer the same as before. She could do whatever she wanted with him. He loosened his grip stiffly. I am sorry." Yan Xiaoyi turned her face away and there was no trace of emotion on her pretty face. The atmosphere was awkward. Qiao Jin took a few quick steps forward. "You guys go back to the old mansion together. I'll go check on the class monitor first." With that, he tapped the ground with the tip of his toes and leaped into the trees, disappearing from sight. Shiju was extremely fast. In just a short moment, he had already arrived at the old dormitory. At this moment, the students were bustling with activity. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew past, and a huge leopard with pitch-black fur stopped at the entrance of the dormitory. This caused countless students to exclaim in surprise. Yiqing Luo's expression was cold as she flipped over and jumped down from the back of the beast. As soon as the peach landed on the ground, a student came forward and whispered something in her ear. Peach's face darkened. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly sank. "What's the matter?" 3,000 peach blossom spies, can't find where Yu was kidnapped. Peach frowned and said in a low voice, "I have people in the Hall of Assassins, but I still can't find out who the bidder is. I don't know where the killer who took the order has taken the hostage." It was the first time Peach had encountered such a situation. She could confidently say that she had eyes all over the country. As long as she wanted to know something, she could easily find it out. But, this time, there was an accident. In Yiqing Luo's mind, 4 words suddenly flashed past: black, darkness, force, power. Could it be someone from the dark forces had kidnapped Yu? At this critical juncture the day before the match, was he trying to use Yu to make her lose tomorrow's match? This was Shangguan Liuli. Someone who was involved with the underworld forces and wanted to win tomorrow's match, only Shangguan Liuli. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her eyes were covered with frost. She quickly walked towards Shangguan Liuli's room. As soon as he entered the dormitory, he heard a commotion in front of him. The few masters were in a sorry state and fell to the ground in unison. There were also 2 elders who were desperately trying to stop something. Yiqing Luo's thoughts were all on searching for Shangguan Liuli, questioning her brother's whereabouts. He was not in the mood to pay attention to this farce. However, a loud and furious voice could be heard, Motherf ****. How am I supposed to calm down when my disciple is missing? It's not like the person you're missing is your disciple. It's easy for all of you to talk. Get lost for this, daddy. This voice made Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted. Sure enough, he saw a crazy old man dragging a terrified and crying female student toward the gate of the old dormitory. Mentor Yu. Yi Qing Luo stepped forward. This person was none other than Old Man Guiyu. As the teacher of the devil class, Old Man Guiyu would naturally tag along if the devil class were to participate in the interclass competition. The moment he saw Yi Qing Luo, Old Man Guiyu's furious expression eased up a little. He threw the female student in his hand towards Yi Qing Luo. Catch. Ask this daddy clearly if this daddy's disciple's disappearance was caused by her. She dares to touch my disciple, your father will definitely pull out her tendons. I didn't. I don't know anything. It's not me. Shengguan Liuli was so scared that her face was filled with tears. She shook her head in horror and struggled to break free from Yi Qing Luo's restraint. Chapter 1062. I don't know. Shengguan Liuli's face flushed red. The pain of deoxygenation made her fingers struggle to pry Yi Qing Luo's hand away. But how could her strength go against the raging Yi Qing Luo? Her struggle instead made Yi Qing Luo's fingers tighten even more. I ask you one more time, where is Xiao Yu? Yi Qing Luo said word by word. Her voice was deep and cold, as though it was squeezed out from between her teeth. I really don't know. I have been in the mansion. Shengguan Liuli's voice was getting weaker and weaker, her entire face had turned red. The elder by the side suppressed his anger. Student Yi, put student Shengguan down. How could she be so rude in front of them? Did Yi Qing Luo put them in her eyes? The anger from being humiliated by Old Man Guiyu earlier was vented on Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo seemed as though she couldn't hear them, her eyes only saw Shengguan Liuli. You don't know? Then bring your ignorance, to talk to the king of hell. After saying that, her 5 fingers suddenly increased the strength. Shengguan Liuli felt a sharp pain in her throat, the suffocating feeling made her roll her eyes. Student Yi Qing Luo. The elder was furious. Old Man Guiyu had embarrassed them in public, and this Shuexing didn't even obey the discipline. Not only the people from the Heavenly Academy were around. There were other forces and representatives from other academies. If he was treated so rudely by a student, he would definitely be ridiculed by the other academies. The 2 elders looked at each other, their figures swayed, one on the left and one on the right, grabbing towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Yi Qing Luo's eyes narrowed, a cold glint flowed in her eyes. However, with a slight glance, the 2 elders stopped their movements. My disciple hasn't been found and you dare to touch my disciple's sister. Old Man Guiyu didn't give them any face, directly raised both his palms and sent the 2 elders flying. He strode to Yi Qing Luo, pointed at Shengguan Liuli and shouted, I tell you. Hand over my disciple. Even if you want to die, I will not grant you your wish. I will pull out your tendons, peel off your skin, and remove your bones. Shengguan Liuli was in a daze from the choking, but she understood Old Man Guiyu's words. She widened her eyes and shook her head weakly. I really don't know, I didn't. Even if I had the ability to kidnap Yi Fengyu, I wouldn't have been able to do so under the watchful eyes of so many teachers and elders. The elder who was sent flying by the side clutched his chest and stood up. After being beaten up by Old Man Guiyu, their attitude had obviously eased up. That's right, the dormitory is heavily guarded. How could student Yi Fengyu's disappearance be related to student Shengguan? Another elder nodded in agreement. Student Yi Fengyu is probably just playing around outside the market. He'll be back later. Old Man Guiyu was still in a fit of anger, listening to their nonchalant conversation. He didn't feel comforted at all. On the contrary, he was burning with rage. He raised his hands and slapped each of them. He was so angry that he stomped his feet. I'm not blaming you. So many of you can't even protect my disciple. Is the Heavenly Academy feeding you bunch of trash for sh*t? Old man Gue Yu had always done whatever he wanted. He never thought about who his actions would offend or make a joke out of himself. His protective heart only wanted to protect the people he wanted to protect. The rest didn't matter. Yi Qing Luo was the same. Yi Feng Yu was missing. Chapter 1063. Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as her pink lips curled into an eerie arc. Her slender fingers slowly moved from Shangguan Liuli's neck to her lower jaw. She tightened her grip and increased her strength. Shangguan Liuli's head was filled with cold sweat as she could clearly hear the sound of her lower jaw bones breaking. I only asked you where Xiao Yu is. I never said that he was kidnapped. You. How did you know that Xiao Yu was kidnapped? As though it came from the Azura from hell, eerie and crisp. It entered her ears and entered her heart. It made Shangguan Liuli's heart thump non-stop. She was trembling in pain as she endured the pain in her mouth and tried her best to explain. I guessed. Long Yunjian and Xiao Jin, who were following closely behind, immediately walked up when they saw this scene. Peach explained what had happened in a low voice. Long Yunjian frowned slightly as his icy cold gaze fell onto Shangguan Liuli. If Yi Feng Yu's disappearance had nothing to do with Shangguan Liuli. He didn't believe it. Xiao Jin didn't believe it either. Apparently, Shangguan Liuli had made up her mind not to reveal a single word. Perhaps she was sure that Yi Qing Luo wouldn't dare to kill her, hence she was so unbridled. Yi Qing Luo's eyes turned colder as she recalled that Yi Feng Yu was kidnapped by the dark forces. Her heart was in a mess. In the hands of the dark forces. Her brother. Just at this moment, a few mercenaries dressed in mercenary group uniforms walked in from outside the mansion. Peach saw them and immediately went up to them. Any news of Feng Yu? Those mercenaries shook their heads as their expressions were extremely ugly as they leaned towards Peach's ear and whispered a few words. Yi Qing Luo's sharp ears heard the words devil class. Her expression congealed. What did you say? Peach's expression was steely green as she couldn't believe what she had heard. But now, there was no time to be shocked or flustered. She hurriedly repeated what that mercenary had said. Devil class was attacked at the rear mountain. The students were all seriously injured. When she said that, it shocked the surrounding crowd as all of their expressions changed. Those two elders and the few masters were so shocked that their faces turned pale. Students were seriously injured. If this matter were to spread out, how much damage would it cause to the academy's reputation? That group of students from Devil class were really worrisome. Yi Qing Luo's fingers, which were locked onto Shangguan Liuli's, slowly loosened. She looked at Peach expressionlessly, her eyes as calm as still water. He clearly didn't have any emotions. However, it made one feel as if they were 10,000 miles of icebergs, and the frost had turned into ice. It made one feel inexplicably fearful. Shangguan Liuli broke free from Yi Qing Luo's restraints as her eyes overflowed with a sliver of black qi. The corners of her mouth twitched, revealing a sinister smile. This time, she wanted Yi Qing Luo to not be able to make a comeback. Shi Ju. The clear voice was filled with killing intent. That huge leopard quickly ran over. Yi Qing Luo flipped over and leapt onto Shi Ju's back, as her pair of hazy eyes looked towards Shangguan Liuli, who was hiding in the crowd, laughing sinisterly. Yi Qing Luo didn't conceal her murderous intent. Her charming eyes were like a hurricane, as if it wanted to devour everything. She opened her mouth, word by word, coming out from the slits of her teeth. Shangguan Liuli, you've successfully touched my reverse scale. I will make you regret coming to this world. Saying that, the leopard had already sped up, dashing into the horizon, towards the rear mountain. Right from the start. The Dark Force's motive was the Devil class's students. More accurately, it was Shangguan Liuli's motive. No matter if the devil class's students were a threat to her or not. She would first cripple these students. Chapter 1064. Using the news of Yi Feng Yu's disappearance to lure her away. Taking the chance to strike devil class's students at the rear mountain. Although the current devil class was already very strong. But against the ruthless and merciless dark forces or experienced killers, there was still a long way to go. If devil class fell into those people's hands, it would only lead to death. The leopard beast's speed was extremely fast, and in a blink of an eye, it had already reached the rear mountain. A thick stench of blood filled the air. Shiju followed the stench of blood and sprinted over. It saw devil class's students lying on the ground halfway up the mountain. Under the cold moonlight, the ground at the rear mountain was cracked and the trees had collapsed. It had long been leveled to the ground. The ground was filled with blood and the dried leaves had coagulated. Yi Qing Luo's eyes were glaring red. Boss Qing Luo. Some students saw Yi Qing Luo's figure and struggled to get up from the ground, weakly calling out her name. What's going on? Yi Qing Luo's voice was cold and quiet. But for no reason, it gave off a terrifying aura. This was the place she had rushed back to when she found out that Yi Feng Yu had gone missing. In other words, after she found out that Yi Feng Yu had been kidnapped, she immediately rushed back. The Dark Forces people then took action on Devil class's students. In other words, the Dark Forces people most probably had their eyes on them right from the start. She actually didn't notice. Sorry. I didn't protect everyone well. A weak voice was heard from the side. Yi Qing Luo frowned as she flew towards the direction of the voice. Squatting down, Yi Qing Luo helped her up. That petite young lady, from head to toe, was not in a good state. She didn't even have the energy to stand. Her exquisite face was filled with scars. Xiao Yi. Yi Qing Luo's throat choked. Her palm trembled as she hugged the young lady in her arms tightly. Yan Xiao Yi must have suffered such a serious injury because she was protecting everyone. Yi Qing Luo looked at the side, at Mo Yuing, who had long fainted as she was helped up by the other students. A burst of anger surged from the bottom of her heart. Sister. Kitty Li called out to Yi Qing Luo crisply. The face which was smeared with blood, when he saw Yi Qing Luo, his crystal-bright gem-like eyes revealed a luster. Yi Qing Luo carefully put Yan Xiao Yi down and immediately walked towards Kitty Li. He noticed that Kitty Li's wounds weren't light either. Especially her hands, the joints had been severely fractured. It was obvious that the joints of his fingers had been broken by someone. The people from the Dark Forces had actually treated them like this. These children were only 15 or 16 years old. The underground forces were actually so ruthless. Long Yunzhan and Qiao Jin, who had rushed over, saw the youths lying on the mountainside. His eyes were filled with a storm. If they hadn't left with Yi Qing Luo, these students wouldn't have met with such a situation. Xiao Yi. Qiao Jin's pupils constricted as he looked at Yan Xiao Yi, who was covered in scars, and he swiftly rushed to her side and pulled her into his embrace. His pitch-black eyes were filled with worry and fear. The hand that was holding Yan Xiao Yi was trembling non-stop. Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi. The scene in the Ling King's tomb appeared in his mind again. Qiao Jin seemed to see the scene of Yan Xiao Yi's life hanging in the balance. His heart felt a dull pain. His arms subconsciously tightened around her delicate body. Yan Xiao Yi's blood-stained eyelashes fanned slightly. She shut her eyes as she quietly leaned into Qiao Jin's embrace. Chapter 1065. Yi Qing Luo stood there expressionlessly. Her gaze swept across the 60 youngsters on the ground. None of them were in good condition. Their green and white uniforms were dyed red by the fresh blood. Qing Luo. Long Yunzhan stood by her side, calling out her name softly. Seeing devil class's students being treated in such a manner, he who had always been emotionless, was filled with rage. But when he saw the expressionless Yi Qing Luo, he worriedly creased his brows. Qing Luo, calm down, this is their conspiracy. Yi Qing Luo's gaze didn't move, her voice was as calm as water, I'm very calm. But that voice seeped out a thick murderous intent. Yes, she was calmer than anyone else. She wouldn't be rash to go around looking for the dark forces, to seek revenge for the students. She was the main force in the students' hearts. If her heart was in a mess, the students' hearts would also be in a mess. The dark forces only wanted to stop devil class from taking part in the interclass competition, so that Shangguan Liuli could win. No. The dark forces were definitely not that kind-hearted. Just for a Shangguan Liuli, they would go to war, not hesitating to expose their own identities. Probably. The dark forces' motive was because of her and Shangguan Liuli's blood oath. To destroy her profound jade heart. The dark forces wanted to snatch her profound jade heart from her once again. Presumably, her profound jade heart would be of great use to the King of Darkness. Previously, when Guardian Eagle and the director conversed on the second floor of the library pavilion, they had mentioned about her. The dark forces wanted her. This is devil class's students, what's going on? 10 overmasters behind him raised their torches and rushed to the rear mountain. On seeing the students' serious injuries, they were stunned on the spot. Following them, there were quite a number of students who were watching the commotion. In just a moment, the matter of devil class being attacked at the rear mountain had spread throughout the entire West Lake Square. This matter naturally alarmed the 4 masters from the main courtyard. It attracted a huge amount of attention. After returning to the dormitory, the Heavenly Academy's director immediately arranged for doctors to bandage the students' wounds. This time devil class was attacked. It's our Heavenly Academy's fault for not protecting the students properly. The Heavenly Academy will definitely give you an explanation. The director's face was dignified. The devil class students being attacked is just an opportunity. The other party's target is definitely the Heavenly Academy. I hope that all of the students will pay attention to their own safety. Do not leave the academy carelessly and act alone to avoid being ambushed. In other words, he was trying to push the responsibility of the attack on the devil class onto the devil class. After the devil class reached the dormitory, they grouped up and headed to the back mountain. Furthermore, he had made a fool of himself in the back mountain, being chased by a low-level magical beast. All the students knew about this. He immediately felt that the dean's words made sense. If he wasn't a student of the devil class, he wouldn't have insisted on running to the back of the mountain, and even caused such a huge ruckus there. How could he be targeted by the Heavenly Academy? Not only caused other academies and representatives of other forces to point fingers at the Heavenly Academy. Even they, the students, were being discussed incessantly by others. No one pitied the devil class, everyone was blaming the devil class. This was the effect that the dean wanted. Of course, it was impossible to shirk responsibility completely. Chapter 1066. The doctors behind her carried their medicine boxes and walked forward. Just as they were about to get close to the devil class students to check on their injuries, all of a sudden, a whirlwind separated the doctors from each other. Yi Qing Luo looked at the director expressionlessly as she spoke in a cold voice, "Thank you, director, for your concern." The director's expression congealed. "Student Yi, now is not the time to throw a tantrum. These children's injuries are serious, don't delay their treatment." "No need." She calmly spat out her words, not giving any face to the director. The director's face sunk. Yiqing Luo was usually arrogant in the academy and he had turned a blind eye to it. But in front of so many people, she even gave him, the director's face. Wouldn't it be a joke to the outsiders? His arrogance flared up as he shouted sternly, "This principal knows that the students of Devil class were attacked and you're feeling upset, but the injuries on these students can't wait any longer. If you continue to obstruct me, don't blame me for locking you up in the dungeon for the students' health." Yiqing Luo raised her eyes. Her long and narrow eyes were devoid of emotions. She stared straight at the director. Her beautiful face was calm and tranquil like still water. But it made one's heart turn cold. Even the director, who had been through all kinds of storms, was stunned by this pair of eyes. He opened his mouth, but his voice seemed to be stuck in his throat. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled upwards, forming an extremely cold arc. Just as she was about to open her mouth, an elegant voice interrupted her. "Since student Yi isn't willing to let these doctors bandage the children's injuries, then let me treat these children's injuries." A handsome man in a white robe walked over slowly. The fluttering robe made him look like a celestial being, as though he was a deity. The entire crowd was silent for a moment before the director reacted. Supreme Mo, the other teachers, elders and students immediately bowed respectfully and greeted. Supreme Mo, Dmo Xian waved his hand and walked directly to Yiqing Luo's side. "Student Yi, what do you think?" On seeing Dmo Xian's appearance, Yiqing Luo's tensed heart finally relaxed a little. Her cold eyes also softened. She lowered her eyes and didn't respond. She took it as a tacit agreement to Dmo Xian's words. Yi Fengyu's disappearance, the Devil class students being attacked. These matters were like 1,000-catty boulder, pressing down on her heart. She wanted to pounce into Dmo Xian's arms, wanting to draw the energy from him to hold on. But under the watchful eyes of so many people, she couldn't do such a thing. Yiqing Luo hadn't realized it herself. Unknowingly, she had become more and more reliant on Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian gazed at Yiqing Luo's curly eyelashes, casting a long and narrow shadow under his eyelids, covering those eyes that could charm all living things. Dmo Xian sighed softly. He understood Yiqing Luo's feelings towards these students. He understood Yiqing Luo's current feelings. At the same time, he was glad that his girl did not lose her mind because of her anger and seek revenge from the dark forces everywhere. His lass. Her state of mind was so strong that even he was ashamed of his inferiority. He resisted the urge to pull Yiqing Luo into his arms as his solemn peach blossom eyes looked towards the director. "Since Supreme Mo is going to treat these students personally, I naturally have no objections." The director saw Supreme Mo standing out to speak and he immediately echoed in a low voice. "I need an independent courtyard, no one is to disturb me." Dmo Xian ordered calmly. The director accepted the order and took a look at Yunxiang. Chapter 1067. In the independent courtyard. Yiqing Luo arranged all the students into 3 rows in the courtyard. She specially asked Bei Ming Lu to refine the internal injury pills and fed them to each of them. Long Yunzhan and Qiao Jin then helped these students to apply the medicine and bandage their wounds. Yan Xiaoyi, Kitty Li, and Mo Yuing were the most seriously injured. The 3 of their injuries were personally treated by Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo was applying the ointment on Yan Xiaoyi's scars when her wrist was suddenly pulled by her, Qing Luo. Yiqing Luo slowly moved her hand away as she said softly, "Don't move." "I'm sorry." Yan Xiaoyi's voice was very weak. They ran away and they brought the corpses of the other dark forces away. The appearance of the dark forces was too sudden. They had yet to react in time when they were attacked by the dark forces as they abandoned their helmets and armor. With the cooperation of the few of them, they killed a few dark forces men. But in the end they had no way to protect those students as they were beaten up by the Dark Force's guardians till they didn't even have the energy to stand up. If it wasn't for the fact that Peach Blossom 3000's eyes discovered the scene at the rear mountain and swiftly reported it to Peach Blossom 3000. There was a possibility that they would die in the hands of the Dark Forces. Yiqing Luo caressed the stray hair on her forehead as she comforted her gently. "You've done very well. No matter, take good care of your injuries and leave the rest to me." Yan Xiaoyi took a deep breath, but it caused her wound to be in extreme pain. She was in so much pain that her eyebrows creased. Yiqing Luo was about to inject profound qi into her to ease the pain. Her shoulder was covered by a large palm as a man's deep voice rang beside her ear. "You still need to take care of the others, let me do it." Yiqing Luo turned back and met with a face which wasn't considered as handsome, but that pair of deep pupils made one feel as though they had fallen into an abyss. It was Qiao Jin. She nodded and passed Yan Xiaoyi to him. She had just stood up when she heard a student holding his injured arm as he asked in a low voice, "Boss Qing Luo, for tomorrow's competition, we..." This question attracted the other students' gazes towards Yiqing Luo. "Such a huge matter has happened, the interclass competition should be delayed, right? After all, we are the class that will be taking part in the competition." Qiao Jin frowned. "I won't." Yiqing Luo's eyes seemed to be swirling with a whirlpool which made one fearful. The Academy's interclass competition has already been announced and it will officially start tomorrow. Various forces from all over the world have come and representatives from various academies. It's impossible that because of us, a trash class, the competition will be delayed. The students' bodies stiffened. Then tomorrow, if there was no delay, how could they participate in the competition in this state? The reputation of the devil class was not important. It didn't matter that they were still labeled as trash. Most importantly, the blood oath that Yiqing Luo and Shengguan Liuli had made. If she was unable to win, wouldn't Yiqing Luo be? They didn't dare to think further. A student stumbled down from the makeshift wooden mat and stubbornly tried to stand up. However, the wounds on his body made it extremely strenuous for him. The young man's face was covered in cold sweat as he endured the intense pain. But he stubbornly stuck out his chest. "Boss Qing Luo, I can still fight. I can participate in tomorrow's match." The other students also propped themselves up, wanting to climb up from the wooden mat. Some simply couldn't stand properly and fell down again. However, those stubborn young faces were filled with determination and unwillingness to admit defeat. "Boss. I can fight too." "Right. I can fight too." Chapter 1068. Looking at these youngsters, their stubborn and strong looks. Yiqing Luo's heart seemed to have been pierced by a needle, fiercely. The luster in her eyes dimmed slightly, flowing with a chilly intent. She clenched her fists tightly, trying hard to control her own emotions. She must not be impulsive. At least now, in front of the students, she absolutely must not be impulsive. "If you still don't cooperate with the treatment, let's see how you're going to enter the battlefield tomorrow." A mellow and hoarse voice rang gently, suppressing all the students' agitation. A warm palm was placed on Yiqing Luo's shoulder. The familiar sandalwood scent seeped into her nose. It made Yiqing Luo's agitated heart gradually calm down. Her tensed-up body slowly softened, leaning towards the man behind her. She actually wasn't as strong as she looked on the surface. She had been calmly arranging everything, because she knew very well. She must not be flustered, and must not fall. Otherwise, the youngster's willpower would also change along with her. "Master Mo, your meaning is..." "We..." "Tomorrow." The students heard the meaning in Dmo Xian's words, as their eyes revealed a joyous expression. Dmo Xian nodded lightly, I have a risky idea, which can allow you to be like ordinary people for the next half a month, to stand on the competition arena, to take part in the competition. 60 over pairs of eyes, all looked towards Dmo Xian. In their eyes, it was filled with hope. Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt a sense of nervousness. Her slender brows creased tightly, as she grabbed Dmo Xian's collar. You can't be. That's not considered as the competition's banned drug. Dmo Xian caressed Yiqing Luo's silky hair, as he pulled her into his embrace, as he spoke in a warm voice, in a while, someone will send the medicine back. Those medicinal pills can speedily heal all the injuries on the body, but the medicinal effect can only last for half a month. Half a month was enough. The interclass competition was split into 4 rounds: preliminary round, semi-finals, finals and grand finals. The time limit was roughly around half a month or so. That medicine's side effect. Qiao Jin lowered his eyes as he looked at Yan Xiaoyi in his embrace, as he asked in a low voice. Dmo Xian's gaze was calm, as his expression remained gentle. Half a month later, you will be suffering from the injuries now, 100 times, 1,000 times of pain. Everything had a price. After taking the elixir, the wounds on their bodies, as well as the ailments in their bodies, would be healed in an instant. However, half a month later, they will suffer psychological and physical pain. No way. Yiqing Luo's expression changed when she heard that. This method is too risky, I cannot accept it. Such a price was something that these youths who had yet to completely mature were unable to bear. I agree. It's all right. It was just 1,000 times more painful. Even if it's 10,000 times, I can still endure it. I am willing to accept. Those youngsters who usually listened to Yiqing Luo's arrangements opened their mouths to stop Yiqing Luo's decision for the first time. They clenched their fists and looked at Dmo Xian unwaveringly. Supreme Master Mo. We are willing to take the pill. We want to participate in the interclass competition. That kind of pain isn't just physical pain. Before Yiqing Luo could finish her sentence, she was interrupted by an icy cold voice. Qing Luo, we can take it. Chapter 1069. Qing Luo, please. Don't stop us. We've worked so hard for so long, to protect you, to protect everyone, to protect the devil class which belongs to us. If we really give up now, what's the meaning of our persistence? Even if I really can't hold on for half a month, I will absolutely not regret it. At least, I've fought hard for you. The students' eyes were filled with determination as they looked at Yiqing Luo. After a long time, Yiqing Luo was defeated. If it was her, she would also choose to endure thousands of times more pain, in exchange for this, to fight for the person she cared about. She couldn't reject their hearts to fight for her. Nor could she stop their persistence. I will accompany you. Yiqing Luo slowly curled her pink lips. This was after they found out that Yifeng Yu had gone missing and Devil Class was attacked. It was the first smile with warmth. In less than 1 hour, someone from the Imperial Palace sent over 2 bottles of medicinal pills. Dmo Xian passed it to Long Yunzhan and Qiao Jin, letting the students consume it. Looking at the students touching their wounds in surprise as they gradually recovered, her emotions were extremely complicated. This is their choice, you don't need to feel guilty. Dmo Xian had appeared beside her, with one arm around her shoulder, with me around, Xiao Yu and everyone. We'll be fine. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips, as she buried her face into his chest. Her hands tightly wrapped around his firm waist. Dmo Xuanhuan hugged her body tightly. As for little Yu's side, I will let the people from the Imperial Palace search everywhere, and also try to find the nest of the dark forces in Nirvana realm. You just need to focus on bringing everyone to watch the interclass competition. Mn Yi Qing Luo responded to Dmo Xian's words, the dark forces actually dare to touch the people around me, they have already touched my bottom line. The dark forces schemed against her, hurt her. She wouldn't have such huge emotions, only waiting for the best opportunity to return the favor 100 times over. But to hurt the people around her, she absolutely couldn't tolerate it. The interclass competition was brought forward, it must be related to the King of Darkness. If they won first place, they would have the chance to find out the location where the King of Darkness was sealed. She twitched her lips, as her eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Didn't the King of Darkness want to break the seal? She wanted to let the King of Darkness taste despair, he wanted the King of Darkness to regret his actions today for the rest of his life. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian's palm covered her eyes. The man's deep and gentle voice rang beside her ear. I've said it before. Don't show such an expression when you're by my side. Those eyes were devoid of emotion. However, it was cold and ruthless to the point that it caused him to feel a chill in his heart. He didn't want to see any murderous intent or hatred in Yi Qing Luo's seductive eyes. Yi Qing Luo did not reply. Her long, curly eyelashes swept across his palm. Slowly, her tense body leaned into his embrace again. She closed her eyes and forcefully suppressed the anger and murderous intent in her heart. With Dmo Xian and the 3,000 peach blossoms, news of Yi Fengyu's whereabouts should be obtained soon. What she needed to do was to strive for victory in the interclass competition tomorrow. After staying silent for a moment, after Yi Qing Luo's emotions stabilized, she raised her eyes and looked at Dmo Xian. I want to go somewhere. I'll go with you. He knew where she was going. Chapter 1070. The night was cold and the entire dormitory was dead silent. The stars in the sky flickered, as if shrouded in a layer of dark curtain, making one feel inexplicably depressed. Two figures flitted across the sky and finally stopped in a dormitory room. One of the petite figures came close. She looked into the room through the open window. She saw Shangguan Liuli alone, sitting on the wooden chair with a face full of fear, trembling all over. And in front of her, there was only a man in a black robe, with a hood covering his head. This dressing was exactly the Dark Forces man. Yi Qing Luo looked at the right arm of the black robe. On the black robe, there was a tiny dragon totem embroidered, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as if it wanted to overturn the clouds and overturn the sea. This was the symbol of a protector. Ah Xian, the Dark Forces protector. Yi Qing Luo mouthed silently. Dmo Xian's gloomy eyes were as deep as the sea. He nodded and hugged Yi Qing Luo's slender waist. But in the blink of an eye, the two had quietly sneaked in through another window. The Shangguan family must have specially arranged for Shangguan Liuli. Shangguan Liuli's room was extremely spacious, divided into 2 floors, inner room and outer hall. Dmo Xian and Yi Qing Luo were at the corner of the outer hall. From this angle, they could clearly hear the conversation between Shangguan Liuli and the black-robed protector, as well as their actions. You. Where did you lock him? Shangguan Liuli lowered her voice and asked uneasily. You don't need to know. The black-robed protector replied impatiently, if there is nothing important, please do not release the black bird, so as not to expose our identity. I have something important, that's why I'm looking for you. Shangguan Liuli's emotions were unstable. She grabbed the black-robed protector's hand. I just almost died, do you know? That woman wanted to kill me. The black-robed protector shook off her hand. His tone was extremely impatient. If she is a smart person, she won't kill you. Shangguan Liuli listened to his casual words, and then thought of herself. She almost died in Yi Qing Luo's hands. her heart suddenly felt indignant. She pounded the table and stood up. What do you think I am? What do you mean by that woman is a smart person? What if Yiqing Luo really killed her in anger? What do you mean by cooperating with me? I think you're just using me on purpose. Shengguan Liuli was infuriated. You're the one who asked me to use Yiqing Luo to lure Yifeng Yu out, and then let the killers from the killer hall kidnap Yifeng Yu. Now that something has happened and was discovered by Yiqing Luo, you want to push me out to be a scapegoat? Believe it or not, I'll go and tell the dean right now that Yifeng Yu was kidnapped by your dark forces by bribing the Hall of Assassins. She was so angry that she didn't know what to say. The fear of almost losing her life made her unable to control her rationality. Paw! A slap landed on Shengguan Liuli's face. Shengguan Liuli was sent flying and crashed into the wall. A trace of blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. The black-robed protector stood up and released his aura. He looked coldly at Shengguan Liuli and said, "If not for you, foolish woman, how could she know that Yifeng Yu's disappearance was related to you? An idiot who couldn't do anything right but was good at spoiling things. I really don't know why his lord wants to keep this woman alive. Just based on this kind of big-breasted brainless woman, did she dare to put herself in the position of a partner? She even dared to point fingers at him and act so arrogantly. If it wasn't for the fact that his lord wanted to keep her alive." Chapter 1071. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly tensed up. Yifeng Yu's kidnapping was indeed related to Shengguan Luli. Shengguan Luli, heh. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with a chilly intent. Shengguan Luli, who was slapped by the black robe protector, became more obedient. Suddenly, she felt a chill down her spine. It was as if a pair of venomous snake eyes were staring at her. It made her feel like the cold December wind, seeping into her heart from her pores. She half knelt on the ground, her gaze subconsciously looked towards the outer hole. Yiqing Luo realized that she had overreacted and did not control her emotions well. Shengguan Luli sensed something. That black robe protector would definitely sense her presence. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo immediately restrained the chill in her eyes, grabbed Dmo Xian's arm and was about to leave. But Dmo Xian was the first to encircle her delicate body. His warm large palm gently caressed her tight back. Yiqing Luo's waist tightened, only feeling the cold wind brushing against her face. In the blink of an eye, she and Dmo Xian were already standing on the eaves of the room. The towering eaves just happened to cover their figures. The black robe protector and Shengguan Luli rushed out of the room at the same time, scanning the surroundings. Lord Protector, could it be? Shengguan Luli's heart was palpitating as she subconsciously touched her neck. Yiqing Luo had already confirmed that Yifeng Yu's kidnapping was related to her. When they were in the outer courtyard, Yiqing Luo did not kill her because there were too many people. If now, it was not impossible for him to sneak into her room and kill her without anyone noticing. Thinking of this, Shengguan Luli's eyes were filled with fear. Her body leaned towards the black robe protector. The black robe protector squinted his eyes, sizing up the surroundings. Releasing his perception, he did not sense any strange person. After a while, he said in a deep voice, "You only need to remember, tomorrow's competition, kick the devil class out of the preliminary round, the rest of the things, you don't need to worry." Shengguan Luli's voice trembled. You want to leave? This life of yours is not that valuable." The black robe protector snorted disdainfully. "She will not give up her chance in the Heavenly Academy just to kill you. If Shengguan Liuli were to die in the dormitory now, everyone would think that it was Yiqing Luo who killed him. By then, Yiqing Luo would definitely be investigated by the headquarters and might even face the danger of being expelled from the academy. Yiqing Luo was an extremely intelligent young lady. It was impossible for her to kill Shengguan Liuli to vent her anger, and to gamble with her future. It was just as the Lord had said. Yiqing Luo would definitely choose to take part in the interclass competition. He wanted to take revenge on Shengguan Liuli during the competition. This was especially so after he won the championship. He would be able to fulfill the blood oath and destroy everything that belonged to Shengguan Liuli. This was the best revenge for Shengguan Liuli. Shengguan Liuli trembled. You don't understand that woman. When that woman goes crazy, she doesn't care about other people's opinions. Lord Protector, can you not leave tonight? Tomorrow, the black-robed protector's hand was mercilessly pushed away. The black-robed protector glanced at her coldly. If there's nothing important, don't release the black bird to summon us again. If it affects the Lord's plan, not only Yiqing Luo will kill you, before that, this protector will kill you personally. Shengguan Liuli was so scared that her face turned pale, not daring to say another word. Chapter 1072. On the roof, Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian exchanged glances. Let's go. Based on the current situation, there was obviously no need to continue watching. Shengguan Liuli didn't know where Yifeng Yu had been kidnapped to. Naturally, there was no way to follow Shengguan Liuli to locate his location. But there was an unexpected gain. The two of them left the roof silently and returned to the courtyard. They didn't realize that after they left, from another corner of the mansion, a tall figure slowly walked out. Under the moonlight, that blood-red robe seemed to be plated with a layer of fluorescence. Like a god descending to earth, handsome and elegant. That extraordinarily handsome but expressionless face had a slight change in expression. Zhu Wu Axian retracted his gaze as his heart was unable to calm down. He didn't see wrongly. Earlier, Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes revealed a chilliness which seemed to come from hell. As though it was covered with frost, making one feel as though they were in an ice cellar. The powerful and majestic aura made even him fearful. Yiqing Luo. Was she really the Yiqing Luo that he knew? Independent courtyard. At the entrance of the courtyard stood two people who were dressed as Imperial Palace's disciples, guarding there. Whereas in the courtyard, those students who had long recovered were still bandaging their wounds as they rested on the wooden mat. Long Yunzhan and Qiao Jin were also putting on an act, sending medicine to the students or bandaging their wounds. This was to prevent other elders or master spies from paying attention to their situation. Otherwise, Devil Class's students would be seriously injured and didn't even have the energy to stand up. Tomorrow they would be able to compete energetically and without any injuries. This would definitely arouse those people's suspicions and attention. If they made use of Supreme Mo's prestige, plus the Imperial Palace's people sending over precious medicinal pills. After a night of recuperation, even if they were able to compete tomorrow, it wouldn't cause too much of a commotion. When Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian returned, they indeed saw a few sneaky figures not too far away. Among them, there was an extremely familiar figure. Yun Xiang was actually in the dark, checking on Devil Class's situation. Yiqing Luo scoffed as she pretended not to see anything. The two of them entered the courtyard directly. Long Yunzhan and Qiao Jin put down the act in their hands as they welcomed them. Yiqing Luo took a look at the hall and walked over first. The others followed behind him. Shengguan Liuli and the Dark Faction's Law Protector just met. Yiqing Luo went straight to the point, as she succinctly narrated what she saw in Shengguan Liuli's room earlier. Hearing that, Long Yunzhan was silent for a moment, then he frowned and said, "Dark forces, kidnapped Yifeng Yu, and heavily injured the Devil Class. What exactly is their motive?" He just couldn't figure it out. If he only wanted to stop Yiqing Luo from participating in the competition, now he could easily kill Shengguan Liuli and shift the blame to Yiqing Luo. But, the Dark Force's intention was to let Shangguan Liuli and Devil Class be eliminated in the preliminary round. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. King of Darkness's motive should be to force me to take part in the competition, then when the blood vow is fulfilled, he will openly snatch away my profound heart jade. Kill Shangguan Liuli and frame her. Wouldn't this implicate the General Hospital? Once the General Hospital stepped in and locked her up, it would be extremely difficult for the Dark Forces to do anything to her. The target of the Dark Forces was her profound heart jade. If the King of Darkness wanted to undo the seal, other than her profound heart jade, he still needed her. Then wouldn't you? Long Yunzhan's eyes sunk slightly as his face revealed a worried expression. The Dark Force's target was Yiqing Luo's words. Tomorrow's competition would absolutely not be as simple as she imagined. The Dark Forces would definitely do something. Chapter 1073. Long Yunzhan was stunned as his azure blue eyes retracted without much emotion. The atmosphere froze for a moment. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept across the both of them as she changed the topic. The Dark Force's target is me, Xiao Yu must be safe now. They could only wait for the Imperial Palace or the 3,000 peach blossoms to search for his whereabouts. As for the Dark Forces using him to threaten her, tomorrow, there should be news. Yiqing Luo closed her eyes as she spoke calmly. You should at least rest for a while, tomorrow. There's still a tough battle to fight. Long Yunzhan and Xiao Jin exchanged glances as they nodded slowly and returned to the courtyard. Yiqing Luo looked at the man beside her as she gently placed her hand around his waist. Ah Xian, unless it's the last resort, it's best not to reveal your identity. When Dmo Xian heard that, a glint of joy flashed past his peach blossom eyes. His other hand held her hand tightly as he brought it to his lips and kissed it as he laughed softly. All right. His Lil Luo had finally learnt to speak to him and learnt to rely on him. If it was in the past, his Lil Luo would have directly rejected him if it was not the last resort. Was he considered to have truly stepped into Lil Luo's heart? Dmo Xian suppressed the ecstasy in his heart as he tightened his embrace on the young lady as a warm kiss landed on her forehead. You should have a good rest too. No matter if it's finding Xiao Yu's whereabouts or tomorrow's competition, you need to worry about it. Yiqing Luo closed her eyes slightly as she found a comfortable spot in his embrace and leaned on it softly. If it was only her alone, her restless heart would probably not be able to calm down. Her entire mind would be filled with Yi Fengyu. She would think that the Dark Forces had harmed the Devil Class's students. But at this moment, the man's elegant sandalwood scent lingered around her nose, making her feel at ease. It seemed like, with this man around, she didn't need to be afraid of anything. After a while, drowsiness struck and her eyelids felt heavy. She rubbed against Dmo Xian's chest as she fell into a deep sleep. Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in his arms as he carefully carried her up and walked towards the inner courtyard. Behind him, a black figure appeared soundlessly and followed respectfully. Lord Dizun, we have searched the entire West Continent, but we have not found the whereabouts of 8th young Master Yi. Dmo Xian's footsteps were light and slow, his voice was low. Continue to search. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you must find little Yu. He wasn't worried that Yiqing Luo would suddenly wake up and hear that Yi Fengyu had not been found. In order to let Yiqing Luo sleep peacefully, he specially hit her sleeping acupoint. His little Luo heir had given him too much pressure. He lovingly gazed at the sleeping face of the girl in his arms and indifferently continued, the target of the Dark Forces is her. Little Yu must still be within the boundaries of the Western continent. If the disciples of the Imperial Palace can't find her, it means that the people of the Dark Forces have set up a barrier to block the eyes of the Imperial Palace. Ah Feng was stunned. He heard Dmo Xian hesitating for a long time before he finally said word by word, send a secret message to Little Ling, ask her to quickly head to the western continent and search for a place with a strong barrier. I want to know about Little Yu's news before noon tomorrow. Ah Feng immediately raised his eyes and for the first time, he refuted Dmo Xian's request. Lord Dmo Xian must not do that. If Miss Ling knew about Miss Ye's existence, I'm afraid. Chapter 1074. Ah Feng pursed his lips and took a few steps back respectfully before disappearing into the night. Dmo Xianhuan held the young lady in his arms tightly as he walked straight into the bedroom. He gently placed Yiqing Luo on the bed and pulled the blanket over to cover her up. He stood by the bed and gazed deeply at the person on the bed. His deep peach blossom eyes faintly floated with a strange glint. His Lil Luo had finally relied on him wholeheartedly. He didn't want to disappoint Lil Luo, No matter what happened, he would do his best to protect Lil Luo, The next day, the preliminary round of the Heavenly Academy's interclass competition had officially begun. Various forces who wanted to invest or collaborate with the Heavenly Academy were already waiting at the various areas of the arena. There were also representatives from other large-scale academies who were waiting at their own areas. The entire Westlake Square was extremely lively. However, this time, what the crowd was discussing wasn't which class would win or which student would be the most outstanding. What they were talking about was the incident of the attack on the Devil class last night. In front of various forces, representatives from various large academies and the teachers sent by the main courtyard. A class of students were beaten up to a serious injury. Although this was a humiliation to the Heavenly Academy, a humiliation that could not be washed away. But to the other forces, it was also a disgrace to them. It could be said that the person who attacked the Devil class didn't put them in his eyes at all. Especially over at the main courtyard, they got the news of the students being attacked. 3 elders from the main courtyard were sent over overnight to assist, vowing to bring the force who attacked the students to justice. Devil class's students are seriously injured. I'm afraid there's no way for them to participate in today's interclass competition. There's no point in participating or not participating. Devil class is the Heavenly Academy's waste class, they're all just a bunch of waste. Even if they participate, there's no suspense, what's the point? You can't say that, we have to have a dream, what if we meet a ghost? A tease made the various forces burst out laughing. These ridicules spread to the Heavenly Academy's side and the few elders and teachers' faces turned extremely ugly. Yun Xiang's face was steely green as he suppressed his anger and said in a low voice, Principal, when Devil class wanted to participate in the interclass competition, we should have rejected them directly. Elder Yun He, who was at the side, immediately nodded his head in agreement. Those trash in the Devil class, each and every one of them is worrisome. Yesterday I accompanied young Master Zhu to the back of the mountain and coincidentally bumped into those wastrels. They were chased by a dozen of low-level magical beasts and they were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves, attracting so much attention. What a disgrace to our Heavenly Academy. Exactly. Yesterday, at the back of the mountain, young Master Zhu was so annoyed by the wailing and howling of this bunch of trash that he lost the mood to discuss with us. He went straight down the mountain and returned, another teacher said angrily. They were the masters and elders of the Heavenly Academy. They should be worshipped and envied. But this time, because of the Devil class, they had become the joke of others. This was the first time in their lives that they were not honored and rewarded for their status as elders and masters of the Heavenly Academy. On the other hand, it would become a joke. That's enough, each of you stop talking. Yun Tian frowned and glanced at the few people who were complaining softly. No matter what the Devil class is like, Devil class is still the Heavenly Academy's class, don't let outsiders see it as a joke. Chapter 1075. The discussions in the various influential areas were still ongoing. At this moment, the sound of gongs could be heard. Students from all the major classes slowly walked out from the contestants' area in a grandiose manner. At the front were the students from High Profound Class 2 and High Profound Class 1. Because it was an inter-class competition, all the students had their own uniform to distinguish their opponents. High Profound Class 2's uniform was a bamboo-colored outfit with the words, High Profound Class 2, embroidered on the back. High Profound Class 1's uniform was a brown outfit with the words, High Profound Class 1, embroidered on the back. Enthusiastic cheers and whistles sounded from various areas, welcoming the entrance of the High Profound Class students. Following that, 2 classes from Intermediate Profound Class appeared. Intermediate Profound Class 1's uniform was green. Intermediate Profound Class 2's uniform was gold, looking extremely energetic. The leader of Intermediate Profound Class 2 was Shengguan Liuli. She was dressed neatly today, with an arrogant look on her face. Her line of sight collided with Lu Shuiyu. Unlike the past, she obediently averted her gaze. On the contrary, Shengguan Liuli provocatively raised her eyebrows, as if she was declaring war on Lu Shuiyu. This action was not subtle at all. The onlookers below immediately whistled and screamed in agreement. Before it even started, there were already such strong sparks from the collision. Today's inter-class competition would definitely be exciting. Following that, the students from Low Profound Class 1 and 2 entered the arena. Seeing that everyone's gazes and attention were attracted by the students in these classes, no one bothered to talk about the devil class anymore. The elders and masters finally revealed a warm smile on their faces. Seeing that the atmosphere was heated up enough, Yun Xiang then flew up under the dean's signal, and with one leap, he landed in the middle of the arena. Students from various classes stood around the arena. Yun Xiang glanced at them, circulated his profound qi, and amplified his voice. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and watch the annual interclass competition of the Heavenly Academy. After the opening speech, Yun Xiang directly stated his purpose. In order to motivate all the students to do their best in this year's interclass competition, the dean specially invited the students from our Heavenly Academy's Class of Gods to come and watch. Class of Gods. Damn! They actually managed to invite students from the Class of Gods. It seems like the dean is extremely concerned about this interclass competition. The various forces began to discuss incessantly. Class of Gods, it was the most eye-catching class in the Heavenly Academy. The status of the students in this class was no lower than that of the elders and teachers. Even the dean had to be courteous to the students of the Class of Gods. He was the legend of the Heavenly Academy. Each and every one of these students was talented and possessed their own unique powers. For the students of the Heavenly Academy's Class of Gods, all the major forces wanted to pull them into their own camp. When he heard that the students from the Class of Gods would be coming over to take charge, he was stunned. All of them were extremely excited as they tried to think of ways to attract the attention of the students from the Class of Gods. Seeing the crowd's reaction, Yun Xiang smiled. The good mood that was swept away by the devil class instantly returned. He took a few steps back, raised his hand and applauded with a chuckle. Let us welcome the students of Class of Gods, our Heavenly Academy's #1 beauty, Zi Qianqian. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure dressed in snow-white clothes descended from the sky. Chapter 1076. So beautiful. No wonder she's the #1 beauty of the Heavenly Academy, it's too stunning. Breathtaking voices spread out from the surroundings. The men from various forces stared straight at the woman on the arena. That figure was as light as a rainbow as it slowly landed beside Yun Xiang. A long white dress made her look like a dream. Due to the exquisite makeup on her face, her beautiful, pure, and moving face seemed a little cold. It made people want to get close, but could not bear to blaspheme. She was as pure as a fairy. This woman. Compared to the number one beauty of the Three Springs City, Yiqing, she was many times more beautiful. She could be called the number one beauty of the West Continent. Zi Qianqian's red lips curled up slightly, a trace of pride flashed past her eyes. I'm Zi Qianqian, a student of the class of gods. Today, under the order of the dean, I'm here to take charge of the position of the leader. Her clear and sweet voice made those infatuated men's minds ripple. Their eyeballs could not wait to stick on Zi Qianqian. While many female cultivators were livid and couldn't help but curse Vixen in jealousy. But they had to admit that this woman's appearance was peerless. It's my honor to be here today. I would like to thank the Dean and the Heavenly Academy for giving me this opportunity. Next, let me talk about the rules of challenging the leader. Zi Qianqian repeated the rules with a voice that sounded like silver bells. This interclass competition was almost the same as the previous year's competitions. First, from the preliminary round, semi-finals, finals and grand finals, the class that won would be selected. Which was the class that won the championship in the previous years. And for this year's competition, the Heavenly Academy had the class of gods to take charge of the leader. When the class that won the grand finals came out, they could choose whether to challenge the leader. If they chose to challenge the leader, then it would be a showdown between the class that won and the leader. If the leader won, then the leader would be the class of gods. If the leader won, then the leader would be the class that won. Of course, the class that won could also choose to refuse to challenge the leader. In this way, it would still be considered as the class that won the final victory. But the dean gave an extremely tempting condition. That was, if the class that won the championship challenged the overseeing chief and won, then they would be able to select 10 students from the class that won the championship to enter the class of gods and undergo special training that would last for a month. This was a great temptation to countless students. There were 300 to 400 people in the class that won the championship. Even if they made it to the end, 100 or so people would not be able to fight. There were at least 100 or 200 people who could challenge the overseeing chief. Because Zi Qianqian was the only overseer. Even if Zi Qianqian was a student of the class of gods, how could 100 or 200 people not be able to challenge Zi Qianqian? After the rules were explained in detail, the students of the 6 classes were completely excited. Especially the students of High Profound Class 2, their eyes had already lit up. They had already started to discuss in private whether they should challenge the leader. Isn't that a student from the Devil class? The Devil class students are here. There was a sudden commotion in the crowd. He then heard someone shouting the 3 words, Devil class. Everyone's gaze immediately followed the sound. Sure enough, he saw more than 60 students walking toward the contestants' area. More than 60 students, dressed in crimson uniforms, were extremely conspicuous. Especially on their right arm, there was a pattern of a cherry blossom that looked like a flame. And on the back of the uniform, there was only one word embroidered. Chapter 1077. Not knowing why, these youths who usually look lethargic and listless. But today, they seemed especially high-spirited. Their footsteps were light and their youthful faces were brimming with youthful and confident smiles. Their crimson-colored robes made them look extremely domineering. Those who originally wanted to open their mouths to mock when they heard that Devil class students had arrived, all shut their mouths. They looked at these students in astonishment. How could Devil class students have such an aura? Just as they were in shock. Suddenly, a student who was walking in the middle of the students let out a soft, "Aw." His calf instantly felt a sharp pain and his entire body fell forward. The Devil class students all lined up neatly and moved forward. With this fall, even the students in front were pushed forward a few steps. One by one. In a split second, the devil class, which was originally lined up neatly, fell all over the ground. Until the students at the back pushed Long Yun-jan and the rest who were walking in front, and were supported in time, barely managed to stabilize the few of them. This fall caused the onlookers, who were originally shocked, to burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Trash class is trash class. To think I was so shocked just now, I really thought they had been reborn. I'm dying of laughter. A bunch of trash still want to make a fool of themselves on stage, they can't even walk properly, hurry back to their mother's womb and be born again. Tisk tsk, don't say that. This bunch of trash have the guts to participate in the interclass competition. This kind of spirit and courage is still worth learning. This is called spirit and courage. They're simply idiots. All sorts of discussions were going on, causing the student who fell to turn red in the face. He lowered his head, his eyes were already red. So, sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, Long Yun-jan asked in a deep voice. What happened? I don't know, something seemed to have hit my leg, I couldn't stand properly. The student lowered his head guiltily, stretching out his hand to roll up his trousers. Indeed, on his calf, there was a lump of greenish-purple bruise. Obviously, someone had purposely wanted to see devil class make a fool of themselves, and used a hidden weapon to attack them. Long Yun-jan squinted his cold eyes, his vision followed the angle of the bruise, and looked over. That direction was the direction of Intermediate Profound Class 2. The spectators in that direction were from other continents. Presumably, this hidden weapon should have been thrown over by Intermediate Profound Class 2. Long Yun-jan lowered his eyes. Is it affected? The student immediately shook his head. No. Long Yun-jan straightened up and returned to the front of the team. Assemble. The students quickly adjusted their positions and neatly followed behind Long Yun-jan, walking to their positions. It was as if nothing had happened at all. On the contrary, I feel that this time, devil class might be able to get a good ranking. Suddenly, one of the spectators voiced out a different opinion from the rest. It immediately attracted the attention of others. The one who spoke was none other than the representative of the Yuchi family, the second head of the Yuchi family. He was also one of the survivors from the Ling King tomb. Second leader Yuchi, you didn't drink today. How could the devil class get a good ranking? From what I see, this devil class will be eliminated in the first round of the preliminary competition today. Don't forget, devil class has the world group's vice group leader, Yi-Ching Luo. Yuchi's second master said it word by word. Chapter 1078. Vice leader of the world group. They were no strangers to this mercenary group. After the battle in the Ling King's tomb, the world mercenary group had become completely famous. Yi-Ching Luo's name had also become the topic of discussion among various powerhouses. Yi-Ching Luo was in the devil class. That was true. He might be able to get a good ranking by relying on Yi-Ching Luo. Yi-Ching Luo. It seems like I didn't see Yi-Ching Luo in devil class. Someone looked around, scanning all the devil class's students, but didn't see Yi-Ching Luo's figure at all. When the crowd heard this, they also started to look for Yi-Ching Luo. But he discovered that among the students in devil class, there was no sign of Yi-Ching Luo at all. Yi-Ching Luo was actually not around. Yi-Ching Luo actually didn't participate in the competition. Second leader Yuchi, this is a class competition, not an individual battle. Even if Yi-Ching Luo is really as powerful as what you said, that's her problem alone. Look at that group of trash who can't even walk properly. Even if there were 10 Yi-Ching Luos, there's no way to change the fact that their class is filled with trash. Also, the students from the devil class yesterday, all of them were severely injured. Yes. I was at the scene and personally saw them being carried back to their dormitories. I'm afraid that they're forcing themselves to participate in today's competition. Tisk tsk. I really don't know if these trash from Devil class have something wrong with their brains, to force themselves to participate in the competition when they're seriously injured. I'm afraid this is the reason why Yiqing Luo doesn't dare to participate in the competition. Yiqing Luo doesn't have the face to take part in the competition, she doesn't even dare to appear. Ha ha ha. This is a wise choice. She's a young genius who's being talked about by all the big forces. She's the second overlord. If she loses here, won't she lose all her face? There were waves of sarcasm and ridicule. Second head Yuchi creased his brows as he shook his head in disbelief. Impossible. How could Yiqing Luo not be participating in the competition? It was because Yiqing Luo was going to take part in the competition that the patriarch specially sent him over as Yuchi's representative. Otherwise, was there a need for him, the second in command, to come personally for a class competition? One had to know, Yiqing Luo had made a blood oath with Shangguan Liuli to win first place. If Yiqing Luo didn't participate in the competition, it was highly possible that the Devil class would not even be able to enter the preliminary round, so how would they be able to win? And at this moment, Shangguan Liuli, who was standing at the front row of Intermediate Profound Class 2, was also sizing up Devil class's side. After confirming that he didn't see Yiqing Luo's figure, his eyes revealed a complacent smile. The Lord Protector really did not lie to her. As expected, Yiqing Luo would not take part in the competition, then. Devil class would definitely not be able to advance to the preliminary round. Facing everyone's questioning gazes, the students of the Devil class did not change their expressions, as though they were already used to everyone's colored gazes. Their eyes were resolute, their backs straight, and they stood ramrod straight. In their minds were the words that Yiqing Luo said to them before she left. She said, "The mission I'm giving you is to straighten your chests and take back your self-respect. Tell the world that you are not trash." She said, "I don't want to be spurned and despised by those people anymore. I don't want others to call you trash and humiliate you. Then, this is a battle for your dignity." She said, "For your dignity, for the honor of the Devil class, and also for me. I believe that all of you, after going through the torturous training and difficult obstacles, you who have always stood here strong, are the best." Chapter 1079. Dong, the preliminary round's gong rang. Devil class's students stood up straighter than before. Pairs of bright eyes were filled with hope and unwavering luster. They looked towards Yunxiang's direction, watching as he announced the first round's rules. The corners of his lips carried a confident smile. No one took a step back. And no one was disheartened. They would wait for Yiqing Luo to return, to bring Yi Fengyu back safely. The crowd's hearts trembled. Those who were obviously still childish and had the reputation of waste, had a spirited smile on their faces. No, to put it more accurately, that smile was hope. Time, rewinding back to 5:00, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. All the students were dressed in the uniform which Yiqing Luo had long prepared, as they did their morning exercises in the courtyard. Yiqing Luo pointed out each student's shortcomings and bad habits, one by one, teaching them how to avoid it. Just as she was saying that, she saw something like a black fog, like an arrow leaving the bow, attacking speedily. Yiqing Luo's reaction was swift, as she pushed the students in front of her, and took a swift step backwards. But unexpectedly, that black fog seemed to have locked onto Yiqing Luo, as it charged towards her direction once again. Yiqing Luo then saw clearly, that was a lump. A black fog which looked like a bird. Black bird. Yiqing Luo's mind suddenly surfaced the words which she overheard from Shangguan Liuli last night. This was the summoning item which the dark forces used, black bird. Yiqing Luo stopped her evasive footsteps, as she stretched out her hand towards that black bird-shaped fog. Indeed, that black bird landed in her palm. In a blink, it turned into a piece of white paper. Yiqing Luo opened it, as she swept a glance at the contents, as her expression sunk. "What's the matter?" Long Yunjian noticed the change in Yiqing Luo's expression, as he walked over and took that letter. After taking a look, Long Yunjian's icy cold eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. He frowned. "You bring everyone to participate in the competition, I'll go. The dark forces have specially named me, they want me to go." Yiqing Luo's voice was calm, without any emotions. "No way." Long Yunjian directly rejected, "I don't agree to let you go alone." "What's going on?" Qiao Jin asked when he saw that the two of them were in a deadlock. Yiqing Luo looked at him calmly. "Xiao Yu is in the hands of the dark forces, let me go look for them now." "No." Qiao Jin had the same opinion as Long Yunjian. The dark forces are sinister and cunning. They are full of tricks. You can't go. This was obviously a trap set by the dark forces. You still have to bring everyone to participate in the interclass competition. If you go, what will happen to the devil class? Qiao Jin supported Yiqing Luo's shoulders with both hands. "Tell me, where is Xiao Yu locked up? I'll go. Devil class has you guys, and I believe that even if I'm not around, you guys will still be able to successfully enter the semi-finals." Yiqing Luo laughed softly. "Moreover speaking, it's useless no matter which one of you goes. The dark force's target is me." Qiao Jin and Long Yunjian's faces were ashen as they exchanged glances. He did not want Yiqing Luo to take the risk. But he didn't know how to stop it. Qiao Jin scratched his head and looked around. "Where's Dizun? Have any of you seen the Dizun? He left early in the morning. Perhaps the main courtyard needs him." Yiqing Luo woke up early in the morning and there was no sign of Dmo Xian beside her. Chapter 1080. I have no choice. Yiqing Luo knew that they were all concerned about her. However, the dark forces were using Yifengyu's life as a hostage. She had to compromise. Was this the reason why the dark forces kidnapped Yifengyu? Was it to force her to meet the dark forces alone so that she wouldn't be able to participate in the interclass competition? Last night, the Dark Protector had said that he wanted the devil class to be eliminated in the preliminary round. What did they do to Shangguan Liuli this time? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she spoke in a serious tone. "You don't have to worry about me. If there's really an accident, I have a way to protect my life. But you. During the competition, take note of Shangguan Liuli and the other students." Shangguan Liuli was not the only one who was attracted by the mysterious Yin Qi. There were also other students. In this other world, the strong were respected, and strength was supreme. Every profound practitioner's thirst for power had already reached the point where they were willing to pay any price. Especially, the dark forces had long infiltrated the Heavenly Academy, turning the Heavenly Academy into a breeding ground for pure souls. Other than Shangguan Liuli, there must be many other students. In the end, they weren't able to change Yiqing Luo's mind and they knew that they had no way to stop her. She could only tell Dmo Xian about it after she saw him. Placing all their hopes on Dmo Xian, Yiqing Luo flipped over and leapt onto Shiju's back as Long Yunjian called out to her. She looked back, her expression calm. However, in the depths of his eyes, there was a bottomless whirlpool. Long Yunjian furrowed his brows and looked at her for a while before warning, "No matter what happens, don't be impulsive. Right now, you can't be impulsive." During the competition period, students were not allowed to fight or kill each other in private. Just like the attack on the devil class, if it wasn't for the fact that the dark forces had taken away all the corpses of the students from the devil class. Devil class would then be disqualified from the competition because they had killed someone. Yi Fengyu was in the hands of the dark forces. His life was safe. But it was inevitable that he would be injured. If Yi Qing Luo were to act rashly and hurt someone. I know. Yi Qing Luo replied indifferently. In the most inconspicuous abandoned temple in the Western continent. Behind the Buddha statue was a tunnel. At this moment, the Buddha statue seemed to be surrounded by a thin layer of transparent fluorescent light. This was the fluorescence of a barrier. At the bottom of the tunnel, a slender figure was hung on a wooden frame with her limbs spread wide open. His greenish-white uniform was extremely disheveled, and there were a few obvious bloodstains on it. There were also a few spots on his clothes that were stained with blood that had congealed and stuck to his body. The youth was in a sorry state. His breathing was extremely shallow, and his vision was gradually blurring. He could faintly hear the voices of two women talking. He felt it was familiar, but he couldn't focus on identifying it. Just as he was about to lose consciousness, he heard the sound of something tearing through the air. A barbed whip landed ruthlessly on his body. The piercing pain caused the youth to scream out in pain. He sucked in a breath of cold air and regained his consciousness. Amidst the cold sweat, he saw a slender figure standing in front of him. The figure was petite and wore a black cloak. Under the dim light of the dungeon, it was impossible to see the person's face clearly. Does it hurt? Pain is the right thing to do. The woman's voice seemed to be filled with madness and intense resentment. The whip landed on his body again. Chapter 1081. Yi Fengyu groaned in pain as his ears buzzed incessantly. The woman's shrill screams pierced his brain. Scream. Scream louder. Scream more miserably. When that good sister of yours comes over, let her enjoy your performance. The woman whipped Yi Fengyu's body again. In her agitation, the cloak on her head slid down. A beautiful face was revealed, but its features were twisted and hideous. Yi Fengyu's eyes widened. The pain in his body was no match for the pain and shock in his heart. He opened his mouth wide and shouted incredulously, Fourth sister. This woman was none other than his fourth sister who had been missing for many days. Yi Qingling. Ever since Yi Qingling's profound jade heart was destroyed by Yi Qing Luo and her meridians were broken. Yi Qingling was driven out of the Yi family in Three Spring City. He had never seen her again. It wasn't that Yi Fengyu didn't think of asking second brother to find the whereabouts of fourth sister. But second brother didn't say anything after hearing it. And he was just a child who wasn't pampered, he didn't have the ability to look for fourth sister. It's been a few months, he didn't expect to see his fourth sister again in such a situation. After Yi Qingling heard his flabbergasted tone, she laughed maniacally. Did you think that I had my profound jade heart destroyed, my meridians broken, and I've already become a waste? After being chased out of the Yi family, I wouldn't be able to continue living? No. Fourth sister, of course I'm happy that you're alive. Father and old ancestor will. Yi Fengyu hadn't finished his words when he was interrupted by Yi Qingling. Shut up. Don't mention those two old guys in front of me. As long as I have enough ability, I will destroy the Yi family. Destroy Three Springs sect. Just like now, I will destroy you. Yi Fengyu's eyes widened as the luster gradually dimmed. Obviously, the current Yi Qingling was already possessed. She had been completely engulfed by hatred. Right now, she only had one goal in her mind, and that was revenge. Yi Fengyu knew that no matter what he said, it would be in vain. The most important thing now was to think of a way to leave this place, or to stop his sister from coming here. Yi Qingling's hatred towards her sister had reached a state of madness. He could not let his sister, fall into danger because of him. Following that, no matter how hard Yi Qingling's whip lashed, how ruthless. His body was in so much pain that he felt like he was going to suffocate in the next second. Yi Fengyu didn't make another sound. He had bitten his lower lip, and the sweet blood was mixed in his mouth. Sure. Let's see how long you can be stubborn for. Yi Qingling roared. The target of the whip did not make a single sound. To Yi Qingling, there was no spiritual pleasure at all. What she wanted to see, it was Yi Fengyu's fearful expression, and Yi Fengyu's unceasing begging for mercy. She wanted Yi Qingluo to witness with her own eyes how her beloved brother was tormented by her, living a life worse than death. Yi Qingling's eyes were filled with madness. The wantonly black aura in his eyes seemed to want to devour her. But she was totally unaware of it. She soaked the long whip in the saltwater and immediately pulled it out. The splashing saltwater dripped onto Yi Fengyu. Yi Fengyu sucked in a breath of cold air and restrained himself for a long time before he cried out, "You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."